Hello everyone, my name is Birdie and I'm here with a special cast of the finale of the Australian Discord League. We've got a pretty interesting matchup for you guys and I am joined by three co-casters. I'll just do an intro for you guys. First we got Dr. Glenn. How you doing, Glenn?
Hello, how you going, guys?
And then we got Merlin.
What up?
And Simkov.
G'day.
All right, so we have a Dragon versus Scorpion matchup and this is the culmination of a 5-week league available to all Australian L5R players. We've got Smurf at the bottom there, and he's playing a Dragon Splash Crab Beat Stick, and Subversive up top, he's playing Scorpion Dragon. So it should be a pretty interesting matchup. Have any of you guys experienced this matchup firsthand, or do you know much about it?
I mean, I've been playing a lot of this matchup recently. I guess there's a few power cards that are in the Scorpion deck that can really help out here, which is the Dragon deck obviously relies around a lot of the larger personalities and tends to invest multiple fate and multiple attachments. So I think the fate worse than death tends to be a bit of a nightmare for the Dragon.
Yeah.
I was talking on the Discord a little bit before everybody sort of came over today, and I asked, what's Scorpion weak to? And Kingsley sort of, popped his head in and said, actually, I think it's like a 55-45 split, where Dragon's got just a little bit of an edge there.
All right, so it looks like we have our opening flips. Who do we like in this situation? We've got a Neat 10 Adept, Favourable Ground, Otomo Courtier, and Enlightened Warrior. And up top, Yogo Outcast, Manipulator, which is always nice to see, and Shoju.
I think if I'm playing the Scorp there, is you want to get out a few innings. I don't know, in this deck, we're not privy to the deck lists beforehand, but if there's no conflict characters available for you, I'm thinking a Manipulator, maybe a Outcast and pass, but I'm certainly not looking to bring out Shoju.
Glenn, is this a surprising first choice for you to see an Enlightened Warrior turn one? I mean, it is to me. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're just trying to, stretch out and see what the Scorpion player is going to do in response. I think you don't want to reveal that you're going to play the Adept, just in case they're going to have an answer for it moving into the turn one.
Yeah, I think that character's a little vulnerable. It's 3 fate, right? So it's 3 fate, and he's put 1 on there, and he's also got the courtier, the neutral courtier.
So why do you think he's scared about the Adept? Is that because of the potential for shames, etc.? Like, why not play the Adept first turn?
My gut is that he doesn't want to have an attachment hit the table and then get assassinated, and so he's putting a 3-drop.
Yeah, okay. So it's assassination protection.
Yeah,
I see
the first turn's kind of tough fate-wise, so I kind of think you want your Nin 10 Adept to be around maybe a little bit longer, so you can still bring him out next turn if something terrible doesn't happen to it.
And playing the Courtier first allowed him to pass first because the Scorp player may have been thinking he might still play the Adept afterwards. This allows some breathing room.
Yep, so Smurf has passed first. The Dragon players can get that little extra fate injection, and we have bids. We've got 5 bid from the Dragon player and 3 from Scorpion.
Weak. I want to see the Scorpion bid 5 every time.
I think he's just playing a little bit around the restoration.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, that
he doesn't
makes
want
sense.
too many cards that are just going to go straight away.
We were just speaking about the strength of Scorp in this matchup, but I think Dragon having 2 of the strongest cards in the meta at the moment with Pathfinder's Blade and Feast or Famine, and that Seeker roll allowing them to also run the restoration, puts them in a good spot moving into turn 1.
Yeah, it feels like there's finally a clan that has a province row that rivals the Scorpion row.
It's probably quite fitting that Dragon and Scorpion made the final, because I think a lot of people are thinking these are definitely 2 of the strongest clans to beat at the end of the first arc here.
Yeah, we have PAX coming up tomorrow in Texas, so I'm pretty much expecting Scorpion and Dragon to both have pretty good showings there.
And as we see, the Pathfinder's Blade just comes straight onto that Enlightened Warrior as a response in the first action of the conflict phase.
Do you think there's any reason to hold on to it until you hit the province, or against Scorpion is it better to have it hit the table first?
I think if you hit their cache turn 1, you don't really want to give them that extra card that they can just dig for an answer turn 1.
Is there any consideration, you think, to doing the fake out, like chucking an ornate fan or something on your guy first to see if you can sucker out the let go? Or at this level of play, it's probably they're probably the Scorpion player's not really Subversive's not really going to be sucked into that sort of bait.
I think that you're fine playing the Let Go and Pathfinders, but it's just a matter of attrition. The Dragon player is going to have so many good attachments that he just has to play whatever he has and burn through those anti-attachment cards.
You can save the Let Go for your first action on the defense, so they think they're safe going into the province attack, and then you just let go.
And if they hit,
before you trigger the action,
I guess if they hit Secret Cache, so be it, and that's not a big deal.
Yep. So we've got both players passing after a Tattooed Wanderer has hit the table as an attachment on that Enlightened Warrior. So we're going to see some covert. This is interesting to play that turn 1, I think. And he's going to go hit the Shoju province.
I think maybe you're protecting against the... Oh, he's coverted the Shigenja. I would have expected to see coverting the Courtier, because there's, I guess, For Shame's a very powerful card that requires a Courtier that can sometimes land you in trouble.
Shout out to JK. First turn, first province, shameful display.
Every time. Every time.
And as we see, having that Pathfinders is going to be crucial here, and seeing if the Let Go in response to Dishonor, the only Dragon character at the moment with a 1 fate on him.
That is why Crab have become such a utilitarian and almost the go-to splash at the moment. Everybody's sick of hitting Feast of Famines and Shamefuls and Restos.
Yeah, it feels like if you're running a Seeker role, there are fewer and fewer reasons to choose a splash other than Crab at the moment. So he has activated Shameful, and he's cancelled that with the Pathfinders. No surprises
It's
there.
also important to note with the bidding turn 1, the Scorp box is now actually offline. So that gives the Dragon player a bit of a edge in terms of like not too worrying about the dishonoring and losing the honor over the turns.
I'm actually, I think that's kind of interesting because we're at a stage in the game where both players have got basically equal honor, and on turn 2 when they go for their bids, they could both bid just high, and now you're just kind of letting your opponent draw all of these cards. You're not really gaining advantage necessarily. Whereas if there was a disproportionate one in turn 1, then one player could theoretically pressure the opponent's options.
Yeah, I think you're completely right, Melon. And in this matchup particularly, if you don't find Restoration of Balance turn 1, both bidding 5 moving forward is only not so beneficial for the Scorpion player.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very favourable to be going second against Dragon these days because you get to spend a few cards defending that first conflict before you roll the dice and hit that potentially a Restoration of Balance. So I'm liking this start from the Scorpion.
So we're seeing a Banzai here. So this looks like we're going to see a province is going to be taken unless we see a Fushane, which we do, which is the card that I was talking about, which is why I was thinking that maybe coverting the Shigenja might be a better idea. But maybe there's other thoughts that are going on in Smurf's mind. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know personally I would have coverted the Courtier.
But by the same token, these games can sometimes be a bit of a slugfest. So get that for shame out of the way, turn 1. But a province break's pretty good.
For Shame is a very powerful event, and I think turn 1 you're happy to see cards like that and Mirumoto's Fury spent, even if it means that as the Dragon player you're not taking provinces. Later on in the game, when there's more impactful conflicts taking place, they're going to have fewer tools. So, I'm not too upset if I'm Smurf here.
Do you think favourable grounds may have been used prior to that second For Shame coming out of hand?
No, I mean, it definitely could have to retreat, but by the same token, there was 2 For Shames used, you're saying there?
Once he's already played the Bonsai, though, he's kind of got to make the guy make Subversive spend the card, I think.
Yeah.
And so that conflict went the way of the Scorpion player, and a Court Mask has hit the deck. So this card's an interesting card. Anyone have any thoughts about Court Mask?
I think it's brilliant, and it's probably going to... I think hitting it turn 1... Generally, people don't play 3 of these. They'll play 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of interesting. The only thing I don't like about it is when you've only got Courtiers on the table, putting it on a Shigenja is probably neither here nor there. I like the fact that you can actually take it back even if you get Dishonored.
Yeah, that feels a little bit sickening, doesn't it? Like maybe that was a templating error on that card because it's a little strong.
Yeah,
I think the subtlety as well with this card is to make sure you don't turn off your potential forgeds, like Forged Edicts, Calling in Favors. There's a lot of effects that Scorpion have that dishonor them, and so sometimes the eager player will pull the court mask back in their hand a little bit too quickly, and then they'll lose the opportunity to play some of those other impactful cards.
So we've seen a military water conflict from Subversive, and he's just run straight into the Miramoto's Fury after hitting a Manicute Garden, which isn't a disastrous first province to hit.
Yeah, that's ideal, I think, for Subversive is... I mean, we only, actually, you know what? Hitting the Resto there, probably Restoration of Balance, wouldn't have been too bad, because he would have lost a card.
Yeah, I think it would have been much
Probably
better.
better, yeah,
It's
actually.
probably better. Either way, he's going to be getting a fate, right? One from the Seeker of Fire and the other from the Manicured.
That's a lot of fate, yeah. Yeah, it's probably nil or draw, really.
Do you think then that maybe that if the dragon player passed their first conflict and baited the scorpion player into trying to fish out the Restoration of Balance?
Well, I think that could be a dangerous line. I think that can work, for sure. But then that can be a dangerous line where you start to see this fate build up and everybody's passing. And I just looking at it is you've already... I guess if you don't invest in those attachments, it's fine. But if you're investing in those attachments, you need to make the most out of them. I don't mind passing the first conflict. I don't think there's any problem with that.
I think then that the correct response from Scorpion is to pass as well.
Yeah.
Because you just defend and then you hit them back. Going second is just such a huge edge right now in that first turn.
So we got a Daimyo's... Oh, so we see another attachment invested in a character that has no fate on it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So he wants to save fate. And he's ran back into the shameful display with a political Earth conflict. Earthring's pretty premium when you've only got 3 cards left in your hand, so it makes a lot of sense.
So court games here, or a return Miramoto's Fury, borrowing tricks from the dragon player.
Dude, how good are those green cards, man?
Yeah.
I was going to say that maybe Crab is the new dragon, but maybe not.
Yeah, well, Miramoto's Fury is going to be good going into the future for a long time, I think. And that's the reason you splash Dragon, right? We can all agree. It's, I mean, not so much anymore for Let Go specifically, but that card is so good, especially early.
So it looks like Scorpion Subversive's going to get the favor, and I'm not sure if he's running Censures, but a lot of Scorpion decks do run Censures these days, so that's potentially quite strong for... could set up Subversive to be in a really strong position at the next turn.
Yeah, what he really wants now is for Smurf to flip Agasha Sumiko and
Yeah.
have it be a 4/4 blank.
And just start really working on that salt mine.
All right, so we've gone through to the regroup phase, and he's going to discard both the Adept and the Favorable Ground, which is not very shocking. And the Yogo Outcast hits the discard as well. And he's going to keep Shoju. What do you guys think about Shoju? He seems to have sort of slipped by the wayside after the conclusion of Core Only.
I know, he's a great charge target sometimes. Charge in favourable grounds. So if you got charge, you can charge him in on the first conflict. So he's first player now. So if he sends Yogo Outcast in for a military, charges him in, and then use favourable ground to send him home, you then, for one fate, you've got an incredible beat stick to then try and take a province politically in the second conflict.
Yeah, and he's got one of the best stat lines, even for his cost. Most 5 drops, even the champions only have 9 combined stats, but he's got 10. So I think he's alone in that.
I think you're right, actually.
I believe the
Lower
the
glory.
Dragon Clan champ 5/5.
Maybe he is.
Yeah, 5/5, there you go.
Ah, you're right.
Yukuni. There's a lot of fate on both sides at the moment. 10 fate for the Scorp player and 9 for Smurf.
I did want to comment on that. It was interesting to see that the Dragon player managed to make that fate differential back up with the Manicured Garden and the Scorp player expending a few fate. So the differential wasn't as big.
Yeah, that was... I think it was pretty well done, actually. The Scorpion definitely won the first turn, in my opinion. This Enlightened Warrior has the potential to really stick around for a while now, though, with 4 Fated Up rings. If you're Subversive, you're kind of disincentivized from going for one of those. It's pretty tough.
Do you think maybe then the reason to include that card is that players haven't really tested against it or played much against it, and so you do turn 1, you spend 3 or 4 fate, and now you have a guy that's going to stick around for quite a few turns?
Yeah, I think it can be a bit of a surprise card. I know I heard Smurf talking about his deck, and he was saying he's only playing 1, I believe, which is kind of curious. I think it's just rounding out the dynasty, because Dragon does have a bit of a polarized Dynasty deck, in my opinion. Some of their characters are really strong, and some of them are sort of lackluster. So their goal is to just sort of fill out that list, I guess.
So I think we showed you hitting the table first, actually being played from the deck. We would 100% be, well, we would very likely be expecting a first turn political engagement.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he actually played Shoju.
Yeah, me too.
It's not a play that I would personally make, although this flop isn't ideal, right? Like Blackmail Artist early isn't great, and the Actress right now, there's nothing great in the bin for Subversive to go for. So maybe he just felt like he didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
But he's actually spent his last fate. Wow.
Okay, so Yakuni has also been played with all of the fate.
So this is pretty deadly, right? Like Yakuni, if he gets into a political fight, he can copy Shoju and just start killing people.
Yeah, I think it's a high priority cloud target. Yakuni is. Let's see what happens if Subversive draws a cloud. I think he'd be wanting to place it on Yakuni as fast as he possibly could.
The other option is that he copies Enlightened Warrior.
He's only drawn 2 cards.
I think that's, again, he's still worried about the province.
The
Restoration, yeah.
Also, he might just feel a bit safer with the cards that he does have in hand from turn 1. Like, he feels like he has an answer for the clan champ. And also, like you said, he just wants to find that restoration balance as fast as he can.
And he has pushed his opponent down to 6 honor with only 8 cards in their hand, which is actually kind of nice in and of itself.
And a Blackmail Artist has hit the table as well. So if there is a cloud available, which I guess we'll find out. Well, I guess there wasn't. But if there was a cloud available, then that could be some, a lot of honor pressure. But you can't really send the Blackmail Artist in against a potential Yakuni now, unless you're willing to just throw that 3 fate away.
The other thing here is that for Smurf, I wouldn't be playing Assassination at only 6 honor now, and there are 2 pretty juicy targets for it, so that's one consideration too.
Do you guys think Subversive has got Kachiko, given that Shoju's in the deck? I always think that those 2 together seem a bit heavy, game-wise.
It's very heavy.
It's very heavy, and I think Kachiko has actually started to usurp Shoju for deck space.
Yeah.
However, it is nice to have a big body that you can charge, like Ben was saying before, and Shoju fits that bill. He's a decent charge target. And then some games you're just not going to see Kachiko in time, so doubling up on a big dude is certainly a valuable strategy.
So Yakuni hasn't copied any ability yet, right? So it was double pass pre-conflicts. Mm-hmm. So now we're seeing Subversive hit up politically, hit the Manicured Gardens again, the nice safe province.
Yep, so he's gone for Void. Wow, would you defend this, Glenn? What do you reckon?
I think it's really nice by the Scorp player, first of all. He's sending in both Boshi Shoju and the Blackmail Artist. With that favourable grounds online, it really pressures the Dragon player to really consider, is it worth investing only for the Shoju to just run away afterwards?
Yeah, it's a good timing for the favourable ground to be there when you've got the champion, especially with the 7 skill. I wonder if there'll be a second Miramoto's Fury. So far, no actions have been taken. Still thinking. So, Doom Shigenja's going to jump in front so far. This card's quite fantastic, I think. It's going to be around for a long time, Doom Shigenja, in the meta.
1 for 3/3, it's pretty strong.
And with Feast of Famine in the Dragon deck at the moment as well, it just gives you added value.
I think Feast of Famine, it turns on Cloud the Mines, because, it's pretty good.
Cloud
Great
the Mind
line.
has really... Okay, so he has got the Miramoto's Fury.
And there wasn't a cancel. No forged.
Reasonably unlucky, although given that he's been bidding lower, not that much
He's
of
been
a
through
surprise.
25% of his deck, so yeah, that'll happen.
Okay, he does play the Cloud. That's a big play to have that early, and I wonder if Subversive has got the answer with the Let Go.
Interesting to remember that if Yakuni had copied the ability prior to the Cloud being played, he would still have that ability for the remainder of the round.
Yep, so it's always a risk to hold on to that.
It's a very frequently asked question, as was observed yesterday.
Shout out to Wayne Duveston. Okay, so he's used the Manicured Guard, and right now it's looking like attackers 2, defenders at 3. So it's back onto Subversive. He needs to make something happen here.
It's a honor his guy court game, I guess, or elegant. Oh,
Policy debate.
Ew.
Well, we know who's winning this debate, guys.
There's a rap battle.
Rokukani rap battle.
So we're seeing Shoju debate the geopolitical merits of the current Lion Crane potential conflicts over the land rights. We're not sure what the Doom Shigenja is really thinking about this. Not much at all, it seems.
You're out of your element, Shigenja.
So if we look at Smurf's hand, he does have that Cloud the Mind in hand, as well as another Pathfinder's Blade, and interestingly, a Reprieve. So it's interesting that he, rather than just spend the 2 fate to charge in the Yokuni and then whack a Reprieve on at the end of the turn, he decided to hardcast him, just probably risk of cancels or the let go.
Yeah, there's always cancels to be concerned about. Plus, that strategy works a lot better in Crab, I feel, because you've got more ways to keep the character in play. And if you're looking for your Voltron target in Dragon, you usually do want to hardcast it, because then you can add on Fate and then attach stuff like Reprieve. So he does go for the Reprieve. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's a fantastic choice. I think with these games here, is we know that it's not going to be over in a turn or two. Like, it's going to be a longer game, and Reprieve is such a premium card. It can keeping around a Nintendo Master or a Yukini can really just change the swing the table a lot. So getting rid of them a turn earlier, I think, is very good. Might not be the best thing for the current conflict, but it's definitely the best thing for the game.
So now they're all locked up after Shoju uses his poison dart on the poor Doom Shigenja, who's really having a rough day. And Smurf has passed, so he's conceding this conflict so far.
Do you hold on to the fan in this situation?
Nah, go for the gut. I think you've got Shoju out there. If you've got the fan, you play it. He can't play Assassinate, right? And it's so I don't know. And worst case scenario is you force an attachment on the Shigenja that's not going to stay around.
So he's actually used the Blackmail Artist to steal an honor, and he's voided Yukuni. So that was a pretty successful venture by the Scorpion, despite having his champion Miramoto's. There's some serious honor pressure being applied here to Smurf.
There was actually, thinking about it, Glenn, probably the one advantage of not playing the fan and actually not going for the break is that Manicured Gardens is a very safe province to farm. So maybe like not pressuring the province break. It's actually kind of good here.
Sorry, I meant the Dragon player using their ornate fan to prevent the Void Ring. If you're trying to build a Voltron, losing both the Reprieve and having a Fate knocked off your Yukini seems quite hard.
It's a tough choice, isn't it? Yeah, I think you play it and you see what happens. I don't know.
So the Enlightened Warrior is swinging in alone, coverting that Yogo Outcast, and it's going to be a fire military conflict. No surprises with the fire ring, which seems to be a premium ring when you're playing against Scorpion.
Yeah. I think we'll see an honouring of Yukuni if this passes, right? Is Yukuni honouring? Is that the obvious target?
Definitely. I think with Way of the Scorp and the court games, you don't want to swing in with the Yukuni either on the attack or defense and not have him at least honoured so that you don't go down to a 2/2 for 5.
We have seen Shoju return. He's hard to get rid of. Favourable grounds being used to bring him back in.
Yeah, so his ability is inactive for this conflict because it's a military conflict, but he does have that Imperial Favour, which will count. And Smurf has returned with a Stronghold usage, so he's sitting at 5-1 right now, and this is a shameful display break, which is pretty bad. You really don't want this province to be broken early on when you're playing Scorpion, in my opinion. It's super important to make that defense stick for the first turn or two, I think.
Do you think Shoju's been sent in because he was thinking about potentially using another policy debate from hand?
I think he would have used his policy debate. If he had it in hand, he would have used it in the previous conflict. But I think it could be because there's a for shame, or maybe he just wants to honour Shoju. But
honouring Shoju is never a bad proposition, right? He's got 2 glory.
And was the favourable ground, was that on the shameful display?
It was. So
so it's got to be used anyway. if it's going to go. So it's going to go. So I guess it was available, and so you can save an honor plus honor shoju, so you might as well do it. Otherwise, that favorable ground is going to get discarded.
Smurf chose not to discard the face down card. Is there any reason why you would not do that against Scorpion?
No.
I think that was a mistake.
No.
I think he just misclicked, Jikoku's a cruel beast.
It's funny because they always give you the triggers, but you still always forget the triggers there.
I have a habit of just clicking through too quickly and then going, oh man, sorry, I meant to play a reprieve. Do you mind if we rewind like a phase?
If anything, clicking through too quickly should disadvantage you, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, I should be punished, but the
It's like-
people of L5R are so kind. They let me go back.
It's like when you play somebody who plays really fast, the pressure's really on, and you're like, what's
Yeah.
the action to respond? as
Shout out
fast?
to Asher from Melbourne. Fast player. Pressure player.
Fastest player I've played so far.
Yeah, it's a real challenge to play him. Okay, so looking at these rings, are you going to even... It feels bad to go for anything because of that Enlightened Warrior's ability. It's kind of a pretty tough spot for the Scorpion, actually, for this second conflict.
What does the Enlightened Warrior do? I don't see it that often.
When a fate is removed from a ring, you
It
can
gets
react
popped
to
on
that
there.
effect.
Yeah.
It's one of those cards that doesn't see that much play anymore at the high levels, I think, because people have learned how to play around it, and also usually people fighting tooth over nail for the rings, and so there are usually one or two options each turn that have no fate. So I think in core set it was prioritized a little higher.
I don't know. This is very tough. I'd be inclined to pass my conflict here, just to get rid of that.
Especially since he doesn't have reprieve,
Yeah.
and then you just defend maybe and try and bonsai on defense or court games on defense.
I think what Ben was saying earlier, though, is that the fact that the Scorp play Fair Manicured Gardens turn 1, it really is a farmable province. You can kind of go in there safely, and you don't really get punished for it.
So he's gone for water. So this is kind of smart because he knows that Yokuni's only got a political conflict left. So if he can ready his shoju, it's doubtful that Yokuni's going to be able to beat him in a policy debate.
So we'll be looking at 9 political versus 8 political with those two juggernauts face off.
Yep. So now the Enlightened Warrior has added the fate, and it's up to Smurf to decide if he wants to defend or maybe go for and see another province. And we're looking at water rings. So yeah, so he's trying to ready shoju. This is pretty smart. If you're going to do one at all, I think that's the correct ring, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think it's actually a defensive attack.
Yeah, it's a province saving attack, right?
I know that doesn't make any sense, but the point of it is you're trying to defend your provinces because the outcast is not really going to stand a chance versus Yukuni, but Shoju can. And maybe Yukuni defends and he takes the ring, but still achieve the objective of saving the next province.
What do you guys think about this general strategy of underbidding the dragon? Because I know in my personal experience, I'm always bidding 5 in Scorpion because my goal is to turn on my stronghold as soon as possible and then have it on for the rest of the game if I can. So it is an interesting strat. It's going to reduce Smurf's options, but it's also going to be tougher to defend these provinces early on.
I feel... No, you go ahead.
I have thought about the fact that against Dragon, lowering their honor is actually a pretty viable strategy because they just willy-nilly seem to bid 5 every turn. And so if you can just reduce the amount they can dig for the attachments that they need for their big Voltron characters, it actually can work out that way.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that if you're playing to win the long game, and I think you should be, you really should be putting a lot of pressure on your opponent's ability to draw cards. And I think in this matchup, card for card, the Scorpion cards are probably worth more when both players are bidding low.
That's an interesting point, that they're worth more when you have fewer of them in your hand. I like that.
And we do see that Yukuni's been sent in to defend this potential unbowing of probably Shoju with the Water Ring. I think it's probably the right call to make, just because you're already up on a province break. You're not really losing too much by not going in on a second attack.
Agreed. And I think that if you go and hit Secret Cache and he goes and plucks a Miramoto's Fury from the top 5 of his deck, it's going to really hurt, if you decide to trade provinces.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think it's smart to defend.
I think Smurf's onto the game plan as well, right? Like if he allows that attack to go through, he now has to contend with Shoju, right? So I think he must have heard you.
And another honor loss.
Must have heard you talk back in time to when these guys were playing.
Importantly to remember also, it will then give the Dragon player the favor, which is quite good going to turn 3, and you still haven't seen your 5 cost a beat stick that can just swing in and break 2 provinces.
Yeah, the favor it feels especially important in any game these days, but especially in this matchup, it does feel very important. So it's just gone for a pass, which is makes sense. And he's returned the Court Mask to his hand, so he's got to dishonor his guy. He's going to be leaving play, but he's going to have another card to be spent next turn, which is pretty good.
I was thinking about that Court Mask a little bit more, and the Court Mask actually makes sense when playing against Dragon, like just to have it in your deck, because you can put that onto the table, hit the Restoration of Balance, and then it's a card that doesn't have to get discarded from Restoration.
Yep, and
So
it's also a nice feint for their let goes. If you're preferring to have Cloud the Mind stay on the table or other good attachments. Back to that point about bidding low against Dragon, playing Scorpion. What if the Dragon player, say, flops some Swordsmiths and they're generating card advantage outside of the typical bidding? Do you think then you sort of have to adjust your strategy and go, all right, well, he's going to be getting more cards than me either way, so I might as well try and equalize the cards?
I'm sorry.
I think
I was just saying, if the Dragon player has Swordsmiths early, bidding lower seems less attractive then, would you agree?
Bidding lower for the Scorpion?
For the Scorpion, if they've got some way to generate cards outside of the bid.
No, I think that bidding low is a long-term strategy, or at least a medium-term strategy. It doesn't really help you in the turn, because you bid low, they bid high, you transfer the honor, but then they've still already got all those cards that they.
So then that first turn then was a big win for Subversive, right? Because he didn't lose any provinces and he managed to equalize fate and cards really, but he still undercut the Dragon player, right? So would you say that was a bit of a win? That's turn 1.
I certainly would, yeah. If we look at who's got more resources, right? The Dragon player's got more resources in terms of hand size, but the Scorpion player has more resources, I think, in terms of honor and fate, and neither player really, as far as characters on the board. Although I feel like the Dragon player's cards need to stay around longer than the Scorpion cards.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, you're investing a lot more in the dragon cards, right? Because you're also investing all these attachments, and the Scorpion players rarely invest many attachments in maybe free ones like a Ornate Fan or the occasional Court Mask, which you can pull back anyway. Whereas you're paying for attachments on the Dragon personalities, so you're actually investing a lot more than 3 fate or 4 fate in characters. You're actually investing like 7, 6, 7 fate.
Yeah,
and interesting here, the Scorp player again aggressively just passes, just due to just the power of their probably conflict deck with potential conflict characters, or the tech card we were talking about earlier tonight, Fate Worse Than Death, that could be potentially online.
I think especially when your opponent has 1 fate remaining, and the difference between passing and getting a fate and them passing and doubling their fate essentially is a big difference. So like if Smurf had 5 fate, passing first is less of a benefit. But if he's only got the 1, it makes him have to make tougher decisions with what conflict cards he's going to be playing that turn. So I like the pass.
Yeah.
And with the Actress, you effectively get 2 characters for that turn, barring any Cloud in the Minds or a Rate Sugu popping up to cut her head off.
Yeah, and I feel like the Dragons really got a lot more things that cost 1 fate in their hand, right? So that hand of his, there's got to be at least 2 or 3 cards, and you can only play one of them.
So here's what we're seeing here as well is further investment in that Enlightened Warrior, and that Enlightened Warrior and the tattooed the tattooed wanderer and all of the rest of the stuff that's the 3 attachments stacked on him did not need to be there. That was a preventable, character. Could have just didn't need to declare that conflict last time, and this is now where we're going to see Subversive rue the day he got greedy.
That's an excellent point. You know, it's funny actually because while we were talking, I was kind of looking at you guys, and I was thinking, didn't that Enlightened Warrior, wasn't it supposed to leave play?
It was supposed to leave play.
Yeah, he likes to stick around. He's a badass, and he's got that covert, which makes him so much more powerful. And now he's got a Pathfinder's blade, so he's gonna go find some paths.
I'm a member of the Dojo of Lies. I'm very loyal to the Scorpion. I was very sad to see that. It looks like I think that the outcome of having the Enlightened Warrior still on the table here is, that's really going to put a lot of pressure on Subversive, and we may see a Province break here just because of the power of that character. Look, you're soloing. That Enlightened Warrior now feels so confident that he's just going to waltz on in.
What does he
8
cost?
cards in hand, 6 fate, and this Enlightened Warrior doesn't care. Doesn't give a damn.
Which is interesting. And he has played the charge.
So Dr. Boom, what are we looking to see? The Snit and Adepts hit the table. What's the go here? What are we expecting to see Smurf do with this? Is he going to load up on the attachments? What's going to happen?
I think you just wait and see what the score player does first and respond appropriately. I'm not sure. Do you think an attachment is a wise move to put again on a character that's going to leave play this turn?
Well, why charge? Like, if is gaining that 1 card a big deal? Or
I think winning the ring's important. I don't think breaking the province is necessarily a must at this conflict because he can attack again with political.
So why is the ring so important? Like, is favor control important here?
Well, I think so, and I also think he spent a 3 fate character with a Pathfinders and Covert, so he wants to at least win that ring. It really feels bad to get defeated by a single event. So
I think also he has the potential to force the Actress Sacrifice to dig for the Doom Shugenja from the Dragon deck.
Is there there's not a Swordsmith in the discard pile, is there?
No, we haven't seen a Swordsmith, which is kind of unlucky because that card is a real boiler room character for Dragon.
So, just the first conflict that that Smurfs declared here, it was a military and it wasn't a political. Do you think that with the investigator on board now and and Yukuni that could potentially copy the investigator would have a political conflict? Discarding 2 cards from Subversive's hands, would that be more effective, or do you think there's a good reason to do this military first?
I think the reason he's done it is because he wants to force Subversive to decide whether he wants to use Shoju to try and break a province, or if he wants to use him to defend. And so this way, he gives him the opportunity to potentially hang himself and go for a conflict himself, and then he's going to have a free province break. So it kind of hamstrings Subversive's game plan if you go for the military first.
So that's a very, very deep observation, and I think that's why we all love L5R. The fact that sort of play, so tactical, and there's very little luck there. It's all about thinking through the different options. It's a very difficult game, many, many layers, and I think this is a great example of why L5R is such a fantastic game.
I completely agree, and this is just sickening. So he's played the Bonsai, he's managed to bait the Bonsai, and he's played a Daimyo's Favor. So this 5-skill actress is going to be bowing before the mighty Adept pretty soon. That feels bad, man, when you get bowed by a Daimyo's Favor. So the Scorp player's pass. So I think he's this is kind of dire.
It's not break.
There's still options for the score player here. 6 cards in hand, 6 fate. The Actress's ability is still online.
I think he wants to save that extra, so he has elected to pass, which I think that's the correct play now.
Mhm.
I probably wouldn't have even played the bonsai. That adept is just... I guess you're trading a bonsai for daimyos, right? That's the trade.
Well, that could have easily have been an ancestral weapon, right? If it was an ancestral weapon, then it's not really even a card. As soon as that,
It's a fate.
as soon as that thing leaves play, the ancestral.
It's like
goes
a
back to
one
hand.
fate trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about playing... Oh, and he's managed to pluck the court mask with that earth ring, which is kind of rough.
That is horrible.
It never feels good, because that card is kind of like an ancestral item in a way. A reverse ancestral.
And another reprieve.
So he's gearing up for the coming potential conflict by reprieving this faded up adept, which is curious because it does mean that Yakuni is naked with no fate. So that's an interesting choice. It wouldn't be one that I would make personally, but he wants that ability to bow, I guess.
Yeah.
Force Subversive to play an attachment on Shoju.
Something tells me that Smurf probably doesn't have that many attachments left in his hand. If this is what he's doing, he seems to be prioritizing provinces, defending provinces at this point.
If you're Smurf, do you consider conceding a province? Like if Shoju comes at you, I would consider conceding the province and then just whacking that secret cache because you know that he can't use the effect again this turn. And trading 1 for 1 when you're already one province ahead is usually a good move. Although,
No, I think that's exactly what you do. Because I think if you look at the board state at the moment, my gut sort of seems to favour the Scorpion player at this point. And so if you have an advantage, I think you kind of ride that advantage. You can concede a province to be able to keep it. You know, one province for one province puts you one province ahead.
yeah, I think effective trading in L5R is really what the game's all about, especially in a tight matchup like this where potentially if you're playing a live tournament where there's a 60-minute time limit, those trades really matter. And you've got to really consider giving up any province and you've got to consider all of your attacks. It's such a deep game.
Do you remember playing just core, like single core
So
or
long
three
ago.
core? And, you know,
No, I don't remember that.
all of those 2 months ago. And the idea on, are we turn 3, the dragon player has 5 bodies with, you know, a bunch of fate and ways of protecting their character. And the Scorpion player's got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fate worth of characters on board, like on turn 3. Like the game has got to a point now where you can go quite wide. And I wonder, this is only after the first arc. What does this game look like in, you know, 3 months' time, 6 months' time?
Lots of Phoenix, I think, due to only one clan pack being out at the time.
Yeah, good point. I know. I'm going to be testing out Phoenix when that bad boy hits the stores. All right, so it's pass, and it looks like Subversive's going for a conflict. So I think trading 2 fate to put 1 on that Enlightened Warrior isn't worth it. So Air Ring is just a no-no in my opinion. So you're trying to get something that he doesn't want.
I think you already have 6 fate in hand. I think that, unfortunately, I'm not sure how the Enlightened Warrior is going to stay around one more turn.
Yeah, I think it would be a mistake to give him another lease on life. So maybe you go for like Void to prevent Smurf from voiding your Shoju potentially.
He just switched the air from military to...
Oh my god, he just wants to play against this Enlightened Warrior. He's like, I want to do it the hard way, guys.
Oh my god.
That is a little bit of a surprise to me, and I think it's a mistake because doing it once is maybe okay. Doing it again.
Yeah,
This is a fool's errand, Subversive. Like that one fate. How much is it worth to you?
I think
Like you've got 8. Jeez.
I think potentially maybe there's an argument for he has Kachiko in hand. I'm not too sure if he's running that card, and then you can put 2 fate on her rather than just dropping her from hand with 1, and then risk the void.
Yeah, that is important to remember that we don't have complete information of this game unless there's another policy debate that happens.
Oh, there is.
Okay, there we go. We got complete information. He does have the Kachiko. What a call,
had.
Dr. Boom.
Had. Can we say had?
Let's
just be clear here.
Yeah, I think you do go for her because she's just the most threatening conflict card that Scorpion have, apart from maybe Fate Worse and Death, right?
Yeah, not only that, you've actually just denied them to the ability to spend 7 fate out of their 8 fate pool. They're going to have a really hard time. Scorpion players going to have a really hard time spending that money.
Yep. And I know that Smurf is a very considered player. Sorry, and he's gonna. Yeah, he does. Okay. He finally gets her out of there.
I think both of these plays, like I think they were mistakes. Like just let the guy go. If you've got a chance of removing a character that has multiple attachments, just get rid of it.
Yeah, and given that like the rest of his hand was just a cloud and a Miramoto's, it's unideal.
It's really good information to have now on Smurf's side, as he could potentially send in Yukini to another province, which unfortunately, because it's Scorpion, is not the nicest thing, but it turns off the Miramoto's, so he's able to actually break a province potentially.
That's a good point. Yeah, pour me some of that sake, Merlin. Ooh, baby.
We have got some. We're at Studio Merlin at the moment, and he's just passing around the sake, settling in for a fantastic competitive game.
We're all just getting into
Just,
character.
I'm just lubricating,
I think this cast will get a little bit looser the longer we go in, but
So he's played Cloud. So the Investigator is never going to be able to use that ability again.
it was kind of an action too late, though.
It was an action too late. And that is the drawback of going for political against Dragon when there's an Investigator who's up and ready to defend. Because using that, I know in my game with Smurf, when we played in the tournament, the Kitsuki Investigator played a key role in him being able to beat me. It's a brutal card, especially if you can get it off multiple times.
Yeah, and I think any criticisms I have of Subversive have to be, I guess, prefaced with the fact that in the semi-finals he did beat me to get.
Yeah, there's a reason these guys
Sounds like somebody might be just a little bit
standing toe to toe.
Yeah. I was playing Lion.
Yeah. Lion ain't so great anymore, is it, Ben? All right, so he's played a court games. The Investigator's honoured. Lovely. And it's pass. Wow, so he's actually conceding this conflict after having used the actress. That is disaster situation. At least Shoju's here to defend, but that adept, unless Subversive didn't have an attachment in hand, did he? Or he did. He had it. So he is going to be able to put that katana on Shoju to avoid being bowed out by the adept. But this is still looking pretty ugly.
Does Yukini copy the adept's ability for the rest of the round?
Oh no, you're
Isn't he
totally right.
clouded?
Otherwise, Shoju's going to murder that poor one skill adept. Yep.
I thought Togashi Yukuni. Oh my god, I'm doing it now. Got Cloud the Minded.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yo, you are correct.
Okay, I just missed that. So Yukuni and the Investigator have both. Oh no, it was.
No, it's just Yukuni.
Just Yukuni. My mistake.
The text says Subversive plays Cloud the Mind, attaching it to Kitsuki Investigator.
Well, maybe there are two.
You're
'Cause
right.
Well, there you go.
That's what happens when I pour sake.
This is pretty good sake, though. Shout out to Australian sake makers all around Australia.
Yep. Goshu.
Where are they based? Geelong? No?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
So this is
Home of Guff? No.
Pre-conflict, we've got Fine Katana hitting the deck on Shoju, which makes a lot of sense given you want to protect him against that adept ability. And we're just waiting to see what tricks Smurf has. The worst case scenario here, right, is a tattooed wanderer, yeah? And then he just steps around him and goes and cracks that province.
I still can't believe that Enlightened Warrior is still on the damn table.
He's there with
It's
a fate.
crazy.
With a fate. My Jigaku.
And interestingly, going into turn 4, the Void Ring will now have 2 fate on it, and the Fire Ring 1. Potentially.
Yep.
I would say those two are probably the two most premium rings in this matchup. I think Fire is almost the most premium, especially from the perspective of the Dragon player. Because if you can, like he's cleverly done here, if you can honor up your guys, that means the Scorpion player has to spend 2 effects to get you to a dishonored state, which is pretty clutch to have that.
Yeah, that's a lot of resources to use. But if you're going to use them, you're going to use them against Yukuni, right?
At least that, I mean, the Investigator's clouded, but he's got 2 glory, so he's still a 3/5, which is pretty beastly. Everyone's coming. This is going to be a tough conflict for the Scorpion player. We know he's got the Muramoto's Fury, so
Isn't it very... Doesn't Shoju just manage to kill the Adept if Smurf doesn't have an answer for it, and then Yukuni gets bowed by the Muramotos?
yeah, I think it's a mistake to even send this Adept, right? He's going to get killed. Because Reprieve is not going to work.
And we just saw a murdered Adept.
Yeah, so for those viewers at home who don't know how this interaction works, Shoju's ability is a continuous modifier. So a Reprieve does nothing to prevent the death. So that was a pretty big misstep, I think. So they've gone toe for toe for mistakes this turn, but it's still a pretty tight match.
There may be the chance that Smurf's not actually come across that interaction before. It is quite a subtle interaction. Shows you, yeah. And does that last the whole turn, right?
It lasts until the end of the conflict. So if there are modifiers that last until the end of the conflict, like pumps, first player decides which one ends first. So you can actually, there are some weird rules stuff with that. But old Thrones players will be familiar with that sort of effect because of Targaryen burn, baby.
Very balanced deck that was.
Shout out to JK.
I guess the positive is if you remove the Muramotos this turn, going into turn 4 that you can probably, if you're able to, you can break a province. But cleverly, I think the Shoju may be able to hold on here.
So Shoju's used his ability to reduce Yukuni's skill by 1. So he's winning on defense. In turn, he's pulled the he's bowed the Mountain Zamble Castle. So he's trying to get Subversive to spend that fury.
And we can see in chat that they're both lamenting at the mistakes they made. And I think very typically in high-level games of Legends of the Five Rings, it's everyone makes mistakes, and it's all about how we handle those mistakes. And I think these two guys, what we're going to see over the course of the next few turns is how do we accept the fact that we made these mistakes and then move forward?
It's a really good point. And I know personally I've lost games that I should have otherwise won purely because of my psychological state after a big error that I've made. And it really is a skill that I advise all players to try to develop. For instance, if you're playing on Jigoku and you make a huge error and it looks pretty grim, rather than rage quit, maybe tough it out and learn how to deal with that sort of mindset. Because in a Kotai, if you rage quit, you lose your points and you go into the next round with a loss,
That's right. Like in an event, right? It's not about any individual game. It's about playing the whole series.
That being said, I just go on till when these. I think that if I was Subversive, the second that on turn 2 or whatever it was, when the first Enlightened Warrior trigger happened, I attack. I go for a ring with a fate on it. Then I see Enlightened Warrior claim a fate. I smash my forehead and I just get frustrated.
So I'd just like to highlight Smurf acknowledges that he did misplay playing around the Muramotos there. He was going to fish for the other province because even if you find Pilgrimage, they get a fate, but there's nothing from hand that's actually going to play with the fate there, as Merlin indicated earlier.
And Meditations is pretty ideal because you don't have any fates. So yeah, that is a big mistake, especially given that he had hand knowledge. So both these guys have got to regroup and really refocus and think about how they're going to play out this next turn. I think in L5R, it's very important to future plan and come up with a strategy that takes into account future turns, because certain turns can feel really bad and the game can swing back. So we'll see which of these two players goes into the next turn with the right mindset.
It's probably worth noting at this stage here of the game is that it's close to midnight Australian time. So for both of these, for our international viewers, it might be worth noting that I think they both work during the day, and this is the late night game. So it's pretty intense for them. Mistakes do happen when you've been up for 14.
It's kind of good that not just one player is making the errors, because then you have like a really one-sided horrible game. So they're kind of equalizing the game a bit.
And they seem to have it in a bit of a jest. So it's nice to see that even at the top level, both players are having fun while the game is going on.
Now that was a pretty fortuitous flip there. We just saw another Shoju pop up on Subversive's flop. So Shoju stays around for another turn, hopefully.
But on the Dragon side, we see our favourite character, Nintendo Master, show up.
Now, knowing Smurf, I'm going to tip he's going to play that Investigator instead because I know he values that card really highly. And in a game where you're being strangled of honor and your opponent has one card in hand, it can be pretty devastating going into future turns having that effect.
And he's got an Enlightened Warrior on the table, right? He's just going to smother those rings in Fate.
Okay, I'm wrong. Forget everything I ever said, guys.
I think potentially the thought there is if Scorp bids high, they're going to hit Restoration, or you get the Honor Swing back and Dragon's a bit safer. I'm not going to speak for the player themselves, but Nintendo Master, we don't know what's in hand. There might be a few more attachments. It just puts the pressure on the Scorp player to have an answer for that Neaton Master, especially after you've seen 2 Cloud the Mines on turns 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of poison chalices being passed around this game. A lot of people having memory problems.
Maybe that's that tiredness that Ben was talking about. So the other thing is that the Dragon player Smurf, he's up to 8 honor now, right? Which is fine. He can bid reasonably high here to draw into more cards, whereas his opponent has to bid high. He's only got 1 card in his hand, right? So that honor pressure that we saw earlier on in the game, all that work seems to just have somehow been eroded.
Yeah, and that last card is Essentia, so that is a dead card as well, which is you basically have to bid 5, right? Are you guys thinking the same thing?
Yeah.
So Subversive hasn't seen a Fawning Diplomat in the first 36. Sorry, 16. I'll do some better maths. 16 dynasty cards.
Counting is hard, man. Especially when the Sarke's flowing, boys.
Yeah, so Smurf cleverly bids 4 and keeping that box offline.
Now, we've got... That's actually...
That is very clever.
It's a very impressive... yes, I agree with that. But there's a very impressive array of Scorpion characters we've actually got there. I think that board is actually looking quite a bit strong. Obviously, Nintendo Master can do a lot of work. But,
yeah, he's got the superior board, I agree.
But yeah, especially with Haru, like when you're first player and you've got Haru and you're supported by the mighty Daimyo, you've got the Soshi Illusionist, which is so key. The Soshi Illusionist is going to be able to take off... who's the little fellow? The Kitsuki Investigator. He could potentially remove the Kitsuki Investigator's honor token. You've got the Actress who can fetch all number of things. Like this seems like if Subversive really wants to find his way back into the game, he needs to take a province or do some serious damage on this turn.
Oh, and he's just played the Cloud.
He's found the third Cloud.
So,
wow.
For you guys at home, how do you guys feel when you pay 6 fate for a character and the first thing that happens to them is they get their mind erased by the Men in Black? I know that feels pretty bad.
Smurf could have drawn into the Dragon's favorite card, Let Go.
Yeah.
So
He
we'll wait and see
still
what
may
happens.
have, right?
Have we seen a Forged Edict yet? I don't believe we have.
It's got to be... Yeah, I know. And that's where 18 cards into the conflict deck, so there's a pretty good chance that there's a Forged Edict in hand. At least one.
There's a Censure in there, so we know there are cancels in the deck.
Yeah.
I think, just back to the Yogo Hiroe situation, fortuitously on the Dragon side, there is a favorable grounds there to counter that Harpoon, which is why that card still sees play against the Harpoon effects. We had a discussion earlier tonight, I remember, about that card, because I don't run it anymore, but just seeing it here, it seems quite essential to counter that Scorp card.
On that Discord chat that I was talking about earlier, Sheba Travis...
shout out to Sheba Travis.
Sheba Travis. I love this game so much.
He made mention of, no, you actually really have to play that card in your deck, not just for the things like the Harpoons, but also for all the Covert that's going around, right? We saw in the first couple of turns of this game that Covert was just going around, and if neither of these players had favourable ground, could have been pretty blowout.
Covert is playing a huge role in the meta right now. And I think, like you said, in any deck that cares about its characters, you want to play favourable grounds. And even in decks that don't really care about them, there's just such versatile cards. Yeah,
it's a really great card. It's also an honor card, right? Like you can blow it to move a bad guy into a conflict to prevent, some honor loss, that kind of thing.
So I'm just
Damage
looking here at the pondering that Subversive is doing. This seems a little unorthodox, thinking about a solo attack with the Actress when you've got Haru. Is there something I'm missing here?
So is he going to do a military poke and just try and get some fate? Because he's got 0 fate, so he needs to declare some conflict.
Because he needs to feed the Enlightened Warrior this turn too, right?
Dude, I just made the same mistake that Subversive's been making all game.
Oh my god, he's gonna do it. 100%.
RTFC, boys. RTFC.
Oh god, that Enlightened Warrior. My god.
What a value card. I mean, he's got... This is the 4th turn? I mean, that's some
Turn 4.
value, right, boys?
Turn 4, 3. You've invested 4 fate, and you've kept him around for
I'm
4
seeing
turns.
a new deck here, which is all about running 3 Enlightened Warriors, and wait for it, you got 3 of the Jade Masterpieces. So you're actually moving the fate around to make it, really making it as juicy as possible for the opponent to claim the fate. So your Enlightened Warrior stays around forever. The eternal Enlightened Warrior.
Your 3 cost 2/2 stays around forever, guys.
So with the let's wait.
Oh my god, he chose a ring without fate on
Wow.
So has he learned from his mistakes, or does he just want to deny the void?
it. This is
He did do military as well, so he can pull back from the feast. Okay, all right. So Versus got his ducks lined up.
I think that's correct. I think continuously running into manicured,
He's got his house in order.
it's no good.
House is in order now. That was a good traditional clinical military poke, knowing that you don't have enough in case you hit the feast. You attack with something that's not going to take the province. He's got his stuff together.
Interestingly, do you,
until
do you
your
then...
opponent puts a fine katana on your actress. Just saying.
But you can blow your actress
Then you
up,
blow
right?
her up.
Yes, that is very true.
Do you then take a ring with fate to try and make the player put the fate onto the Enlightened Warrior?
Not unless I've got a fate worse than death or I can swim in hand.
No, so then Feast of Famine is offline because if you have fate on all 3 of those characters there, you can't actually move the fate to a character.
I think it's a little too janky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about this general idea of poking with a character like... Sure, actress is basically perfect because she can have a dual effect later on. But I found I'm doing it a lot in my games these days, especially when you're first player and there's fate on rings or there's an important ring to deny your opponent. It's a really powerful play, right?
I completely agree. Yeah.
And I think where you see it a lot as well is not only at the start of the game, but also at the very end when it's time to go to the box. And a lot of people run Rally as a box province, so it's really good to just poke with the attack that if you're a military deck, poke with politics and then let them flick it, and then you can attack with politics in your second conflict.
It's a good point. I think that scouting provinces in general has just become such a crucial part of L5R. And that's why cards like Pathfinder's Blade and Cautious Scout have seen, a huge play rate, because they're just... Provinces are the swingiest, most powerful cards in the game, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And so being able to dodge the nastiest of the nastiest is just so crucial.
Yeah, I definitely think that Cautious Scout is the true champion, like move aside Hataro. Like, Cautious Scout is one of the best dynasty cards, nay, the best dynasty card in Crane at the moment.
Hataro is going to hit the coaster before the Cautious Scout does, that's for sure, going forward.
Yeah. I mean, look, all due respect to Yoshi will stay around, but
I think also it's good on the flip side. It's good to remember that the keepers do have the talisman to then take the best of the card effects that we're talking about here, where you get 2 of the strongest abilities in the game each turn just by bowing an attachment.
Yeah, that talisman is already and will be a meta-defining card for a little while, I think. And I know it's made me question my decision to splash things other than Dragon in a lot of my decks. Because certain games, when that card hits the table and you don't have an answer, they feel unwinnable almost immediately. Yeah. And anytime a 1-cost card can have that effect on you, you immediately start thinking, I got to change my deck,
Yeah.
Very strong card.
My games today can attest to that fact. It's true.
Did you get railroaded into Shameful Display 25 times, or what happened?
It was Pilgrimage, I think. I was like, what the hell do I attack? Like, if I attack this other province, he's just going to push it into a Pilgrimage, and then, well, I guess lucky I get a ring.
One good thing about Talisman is that it encourages deeper thinking by both players.
Yeah.
And there's almost another mini game you play with your opponent, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that conflict was pretty conventional pass. No surprises there. The fact that he used Niten to defend leads me to believe that he's got a let go for that cloud because he's wanting to ready him. That's my guess.
I would certainly hope so. What are you going through? 20 cards in a 40-card deck? There's like an 80% chance he's got.
At least one, right?
Yeah, one in his hand.
Okay, so whilst we're in a bit of a lull here, we've hit the hour and 10-minute mark of this game. So we're kind of, if it was a conventional Legends of the Five Rings game, this is around about the time where it hits time and you count up. So if we had to look at the mod points here, if it was that sort of game, well, I know we're playing the timeless format, but in a normal time format, what do we got? What are the points at?
Well, Subversive is on 4 because he's got a broken province and higher honor, and Smurf is on 1, right? Because he's got the favor.
Smurf is on 3, 2 for the broken province,
yeah.
and 1 for the favor, and Subversive's on 2.
Right.
So the game wouldn't end, and either player could concede, and then you potentially play out until the regroup phase.
I don't feel like...
Let go and a Forged Edict. There we go.
That Forged Edict got played so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very important one to cancel, and you're just praying that he hasn't hit the second let go right now, right? Like, if you're Subversive, you're sitting there tapping your toes, hoping.
No, it's a pass.
Do you think there's consideration for you favourable grounds the bow Neaton into a conflict and then let go as a surprise? Is there that sort of level of tactics? You're seeing Unicorn, a lot of the manoeuvrability coming out. Do you think there's viability here at the top tables, or is it more of a, no, I'd actually like to build a Redium now?
I think there is, and I think especially if you have a policy debate in hand, you feel like you can win that, and you can pluck their cancel, then it does pay to save those cards occasionally.
I'm not sure that in this situation that it does, though, right? Because Smurf has just passed their first opportunity to declare a conflict.
That is pretty shocking.
Yeah, he can play another one now, and actually, what ring is being contested at the moment?
He hasn't selected it yet.
Right.
He's still
If he
choosing.
goes for like the Ring of Earth, which he has now just done, right? If there was a let go in his hand, I'll bet that Smurf's thinking, God, I should have played that earlier and then gone for a conflict.
And very cleverly, now that the hand size of the Scorpion player is 4, he felt safe enough to check another province, and he has found that restoration of balance.
Mm-hmm.
Have all 3 reprieves been played?
I think at least 2. There was one. There were 2 played in the first couple turns. Yeah.
No, one wasn't one.
One
Was discarded, and one was killed from that adept earlier on
Yeah,
turn
that's
3.
right. So we've seen 2 from the Dragon player.
So the Enlightened Warrior could well live.
Oh God.
We got to give him a name, right? Like he's a bit of a legend at the moment.
Yeah. What do we call him? A tattooed bald man. Vin Diesel.
You got to give him like a dragon name, right? Like Tagashi Diesel or something.
Tagashi Diesel. All right.
Yeah. So what do you think about this decision? Okay, so Smurf has passed his first conflict. I think he really wants to use that Kitsuki Investigator, no? Yes, please, Merlin. Rack me up, baby. Oh yeah, I gotta give you my glass.
There's more sake being poured.
We're going deep tonight, boys. This is going to get a little weird, this cast. Okay, so what do you guys think about this decision from Subversive to attack again? It's kind of curious because it does leave him vulnerable.
He's got to do it.
He's got to do it, right?
You do it, and if things go south, you can just always harpoon someone in.
So he's defending with the investigator, and he's used Hero Way to move in that Niten Master.
I like it. It's aggressive.
Sorry, had that investigator already been used?
The investigator's got a cloud, so
sorry,
he's just
I
a 3/5, which is still a reasonable. So he's defended. This is interesting. Okay, now how does this work? Shoju uses his effect on the Niten. Hero Way's effect dishonors him at the end of the conflict. My guess is that had he been able to use Shoju's ability, if you apply Hero Way's effect and Shoju, that Niten's going to get nuked.
Yeah, I think that I think it does. I think it's very similar to the Ring of Fire. It'll depend on the wording on Hero Way as to whether it's at the end of the conflict or after the conflict that the
it's
dishonor
at the
occurs. Okay,
I'm
so
pretty
I
sure,
think it might just.
So conflicts have 3 parts: a beginning, a middle, and end, like a story. So, and
This is why you play favorable ground, guys. This is you need that card. You just need it.
It's actually not so much that the conflict has a beginning, a middle, and end, but the end of the conflict has 3 parts. Before the end of the conflict, at the end of the conflict and after the conflict.
Shout out to Nate French. Thanks for this great game, Nate.
One of those classic simple rules. Now, there's a difference between becoming honoured and being honoured, right?
Mm-hmm.
The worst one is limit and max, right? That one is just horrendous.
Are you kidding? It's perfectly straightforward.
Shout out to Wayne. All right, so he has one, and this is going to be a break. And Hiraway has so this is a pretty good turn for the Scorpion so far. His ascendancy in board state has paid off this turn, and like you said, that flipping that showed you that turn was pretty key.
Did
He's
that
going to stick around?
That Nintendo Master didn't go to 0 then, I assume.
No, he used the favourable ground immediately to send him back home, which was pretty smart. So Smurf loses a Bonsai with that Earth Ring, and Subversive refills his hand a little bit, back up to 4 cards, which is pretty important. And there's the first province broken for the Scorpion. So this is a good turn for the Scorp.
And I think if you're a Scorpion player, really, you're looking to break your first province at around about the hour 20 mark. At that point there, you've got your start, and you're looking at it and going, all right, maybe it's time to make a move.
Yeah, well after the round has ended.
You spent 80 minutes constructing a favourable board state, and then you decide to sink your teeth in.
I mean, the really interesting part about this game is moving forward. The Dragon player now knows that there will be no Cloud the Mines moving into the next turn. So all these strong effects that, unfortunately, the Dragon player hasn't been able to utilize so far, moving into the next turn with about 4 or 5 fate plus the other 7 gives you a really ability to go really big.
That's a great
with
point.
safety.
So is the House of Cards going to begin to tumble now? Like, are we starting to see the game state break down, and we'll start to see a bunch more provinces fall, or do we think?
I think that sometimes it is a little bit of a burden to see 3 of 1 card early, especially a powerful effect like Cloud the Mind. It feels really good at the time because you're dominating the board state, you're removing their powerful threats. But like you mentioned, Glenn, as the game wears on, you no longer have access to those, and it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. It's kind of hard to assess the effect of playing a card early on the end game and whether a game will even get to the end. So it's an interesting one.
And we're seeing a second Doom Shigenja played by Subversive.
What a card.
And the Bonsai being kicked out from the Earth Ring previously makes it hard to get a break. It was just a little bit harder to get a break if you don't have another answer from hand.
Yeah, so the goal here for the Scorpion player isn't to win this conflict, right? He's just trying to prevent that break. That means the Fire Ring is going to go off, so he's going to re-honor probably the Niten, I'm guessing, and dig for that let go.
Yeah, as juicy as it is to dishonor Haru or Shoju, I think the Nintendo Master is definitely the right choice.
When you're going for firing against Scorpion, I mean, there are very few situations where you want to use it to dishonor their guys, barring like if they have 1 courtier left and you want to play an event or something. It's just so important to eat away at those dishonoring effects that Scorpion use.
I think also with the Soci Illusionist sticking around for next turn, there's no real value in dishonoring Hiroe there, as the Scorpio will spend 1 fate to then remove the token.
Yeah, can we talk about that Illusionist for a minute? Because I reckon that is one of my favourite 2-drops in the entire game. Given Scorpion's game plan, I just find that effect so powerful and varied.
I think it's also just so well statted for its cost. It's a 2-cost Shugenja, one of the best keywords in the game right now. And it has 4 worth of stats, 1 military and 3 political.
I would kill for that in Lion, I'm telling you.
You've got Lion Pride Brawler, that's all we need to say about that.
Come on, man. Okay, so he has won the Fire Ring, and he has honored Niten. So that'll be it. So the Imperial Favor is going to stick with the Dragon player because it was a tie for glory. And Fate Phase, and finally, Togashi Diesel has hit that discard pile. R.I.P.
Yeah, I'm going to pour one out for him.
Ran out of gas.
My God, that was terrible. So now as we're heading to the end of turn 4 and we're about to see the start of turn 5, what are our hopes and dreams for what we're going to see out of turn 5?
Turn 5.
I think that the Dragon player is going to be feeling decent right now. He's got enough honor that he can bid 5, dig for that second let go, and the board state's actually decent. And given that he only lost one province, the provinces are equal, the honors are roughly equal, and you've got a 5 fate advantage and an extra card in your hand. I think it's pretty.
And
good for Dragon.
just quickly, Subversive just gives a shout out to that Enlightened Warrior. Rest in peace. I also just want to come back and just highlight what I said earlier about going into turn 5 with 12 fate and being able to bring out 2 really big guys and know that they're not going to get blanked. It's quite scary for the Scorp player, I feel.
Yeah, so which 2 are you playing? Are you going to go... So he has played the Doom Shigenja, and you've got 11 left. Do you just play the 1?
I think you play the... I think you play both the Investigators and mill the Scorp's hand moving forward.
Yeah, that could be a strong play. And then you sort of bid 5, dig for that let go maybe, and look to reactivate that Nitan who's just itching to start breaking stuff.
I'm just not sure what's in hand. If there's attachments in hand, I mean, the Nintendo Master is always a great choice too, as you'll be able to play it both turns. But I guess you do have to be wary that there could be another Kachiko in the deck on the Scorp side to be wary of.
So I've noticed these longer games that have been happening online recently, especially in the Global League, because there are no time limits, and it's encouraging a more deliberate play. And it does feel like it's warping the power level of various decks. And you see these kind of strange game states. It's very strange to see, and I wonder if that will be reflected in these tournaments like PAX coming up tomorrow, to see if the same sort of clans that are doing well in the Discord League will show up at PAX. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, the grindier decks will find it much more difficult to close out games. When you've got an hour to play with, and quite often it's not really an hour; it's like 55 minutes because you got to find the table to sit at. You've got to find out what you got to get your match slip, and then your opponent's shuffling their deck and they've dropped a card on the table, and they've got these special slips, and then they've got to take their playmat out.
Judge!
And you're playing against some slogan from some foreign country, and it's just
So interestingly, the Scorp player did pass without playing a character from the deck. I think we can probably expect that there's going to be Kachiko potentially here this turn, or another conflict character such as the Magistrate or Yojimbo.
And this is where it kind of pays to be playing second with Scorp, because if Smurf elects to use that Investigator on an attack, he's going to be able to do something to him before he's able to use his effect.
Yeah. But what exactly can you do to the Investigator now that you've used your 3 Cloud the Mines?
Well, yeah, I guess you drop Kachiko in before the conflict.
Yeah. It just really forces you to put it in, whatever it is that he's holding that fate for. Just got to put it in.
Feed him some bees.
Fate Worse Than Death is also the other option. Although we haven't seen a Fate Worse Than Death played yet. That is a card that's sort of only very, very recently been expounded upon as this great card. So maybe he's not running. Maybe he's only running 1 or none. Oh, and another covert attachment. So these guys do a lot of work in Dragon, don't you guys think?
Yeah. Again, you really got to be playing with those favorable rounds, because there's so much covert at the moment. Every deck's got it. And
interestingly, it seems that you never go against the covert versus covert. It's always you have the covert, then I have the covert.
Yes.
It's a very interesting keyword, and it'll be interesting how they explore that moving forward, as it's such a strong effect.
I think it's important that cards like Favorable Ground exist, and there are other ways to jump people into conflict from your hand, for instance, and so forth. It's important that those exist, otherwise the keyword would be a little too strong. And also, there's kind of like an anti-synergy with it. Like, the more that's in the environment, is it going to reach a critical mass where there's so much that it starts becoming less valuable, I guess you always want it to defend with as well, right?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
It's more of a philosophical question, I guess.
Yeah. That's going to keep me up at night.
I think it would add to the variance, because then it would just come down. If half the cards have covert on them, then it's whoever flips the better flip. Yes, this seems like This seems like you've got to be able to bait that Kachiko out of hand, and forcing another card to come into the hand allows you to see just more of the Scorp's overall game plan.
Stylistic question here. Tattoo Wanderer grants covert, right? What are the sort of activities that this Tattoo Wanderer is doing to sneak around Shoju? Like, is he distracting him? Is he
No.
is he practicing the fine art of being a mime? Or what?
No, he's actually tattooing. He's actually tattooing the person that he's attached to. It's like a chameleon. He's sort of like making him look like the thing behind him.
Oh, is this like a cake shop scenario from the Hunger Games? I guess
Oh
so.
man, this feels pretty bad. I personally would have gone for the meditations on the Dow because I'm okay with losing one fate off my investigator, but running into that cache, getting the best card out of the top 5 is pretty rough.
Or are you thinking this is actually a mill tactic because you go, you know what, the game's going to go for another 7 or 8 turns, so let's just get subversive, like getting to the bottom of his deck as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's 2018. It's Jigoku. It's a mill game now. You know, we're all going for that 5 honor loss.
I don't mind, like even in a big tournament, I don't mind there being like a 90-minute time limit for the final game, because I think sometimes, it can be exciting, and especially like as there's quite high level play, sometimes people, it builds up a bit of a sense of excitement as, people get a bit of time to make these big decisions. They don't feel as rushed, and you can really see some amazing gameplay. But above 90 minutes, it seems a bit extreme. I think it's good that there's 60-minute limit in general.
Yeah, and straight away, the Cloud the
Oh
Mind.
my god!
Yeah, with the Doom Shugenja on the table, it made a lot of sense that Smurf thought he had an answer to that potential Kachiko play.
Now, this is, yes, the mind has been clouded, but you never know. You might see the illusionist become dishonored and calling in a few favors. But that's the apart from the illusionist there, that's a trifecta of Scorpion's strongest fatties, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's no. Thankfully, the Scorpion player didn't save any fate, so unfortunately, that
He needs
for
a let
this
go.
for this conflict. Yeah, there'll either be needs to be a let go or
Yeah, good point.
Well, I think the fact that he didn't save any fate tells you something about the cards that are in his hand. I don't think he needs it, right? Like they either cost money and he doesn't care, or they just don't cost money.
Okay, so we get to have a look at what is in his hand: Assassination, Censure, Cunning Magistrate, Fiery Madness, Katana, an Edict, and a Fury.
There you go, dude.
So what would you discard here?
There's a lot of good cards here, right? This is one of those cases as well when you're looking at those censures. There's a lot of cancels here. I don't know, like what are the? I mean, Dragon doesn't play a lot of events, but what events could potentially be impactful where you might consider getting rid of that forged?
I think I'm taking the Edict because the Censures are dead for at least this turn and
Fury's
potentially
dead.
next. Fury's almost dead, and also. If you've got a let go coming up, yeah, he does go for it. If you've got a let go coming up, which he has potentially 2 more in his conflict deck, does Smurf, you want to be able to protect that card. So I think it's the right move.
Yeah, you can't play the Cunning Magistrate. You can't play the Fiery Madness. You can't play 2 of the censures. There's a lot of cards that are dead this turn in his hand.
Do you think it was a mistake to put a whole 3 fate on Kachiko? Because I am hesitant to put 3 fate on any character, barring Kitsu Spirit Caller personally. And that's only very, very rare cases.
I think in the case of a hour timed game, then probably a mistake, and I think you want to use that fate to do something else with it. But in the case where you're not actually rushed, and you're going, you know what, a part of this game is actually outlasting and outgrinding the other player, then I think the 3 fate's fine. I mean, my only concern with it is to leave 1 fate available, given that your hand has a lot of stuff that costs 1 fate.
Yeah, and it's kind of curious that we haven't seen a second or third policy debate from Subversive yet. Because I know that Cloud the Mind is a priority for me if I'm considering playing a big dude like Kachiko to get that out of the hand. So I wonder if we'll see some coming up. I mean, clearly he has none in hand right now.
Yeah, so the Ornate Fan comes down now, and then with the Dragon Stronghold to bow, that Water Ring is definitely going to be used to probably bow the Byoshi Shouju. Turn him offline. Yeah,
this is a disastrous state of affairs for Subversive, and given that we know it's in his hand, he has nothing else to be playing here. So this is tough.
Maybe dignity back with the Stronghold, I
Is
guess.
that the first time we've seen the Stronghold used?
That's correct. Turn 5.
Okay, so Scorpion players, this is why we bid 5. B 5. Always bid 5.
I think Subversive's game plan has made actually a lot of sense here in this context. it's just unfortunate that he seemed to draw the answers that he needed for the first few turns, but now the late game he's just not had the correct answers.
It's probably, I mean, one thing that's worth reflecting on at the moment is the dragon, who's had some pretty beastie characters on board, has only been able to take one province in 5 turns or 4 turns. What are we up to? Turn 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that's some extreme defense. He hasn't necessarily, Subversive hasn't really advanced his victory condition in any meaningful way. Like it's one province a piece, but extremely defensive.
So would you say that given that line of reasoning, would you say that the low bid strategy is better for an untimed game? Like it's more of a grindy strategy, right? Whereas if you're in a timed game, you want to play a covert guy from hand, you want to bid 5, you want to play a bonsai, you want to kind of get things going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think also something interesting to note is if only 2 Fate went on the Kachiko, that Fiery Madness can then be played onto the Investigator.
And also the Fury, alternatively, because he's got 2 Glory.
Yeah, so I think the mistake wasn't too much Fate on Kachiko. The mistake was not leaving a Fate. At least one Fate available.
I'm not sure it's a mistake. I just think it's there's different lines of play because you don't know how many. The fact that he's found is that all. He's found all 3 attachments this turn to whack onto that Investigator. This is quite good.
Yeah, dual-wielding battle fans is pretty sweet, isn't it?
And we see policy debate now to hopefully knock another card out of hand.
So this is going to be an interesting bid because the totals are relative. Oh no, it's 10-6, eh? So that Investigator's massive.
So the Investigator is just making a fool out of poor Kachiko. This is quite embarrassing.
I wonder what he's finding. He's finding all the dirt on Kachiko.
Interesting that he bids 2 because I guess this is another meta decision to turn off that stronghold for the following turn or 2.
I think it's also the score player could have decided to bid 5 and draw it if he really wanted to, and then go for the air ring and then just re-honor up.
That's a good point, and it also turns off I Can Swim.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Although that isn't in his hand right now, but yeah.
Yeah, getting rid of the Fine Katana seems like a very fair choice here. Though it is worth noting that means that potentially the Mirror Motors Fury can bow that Neaton Master right now.
Yeah, unless he goes for the 4th province, which will turn off the event.
It'd be Pilgrimage.
I think
could be rough.
This game is sort of exposing Censure for a bit of a... It's a bit of a tough card. Certain games you're going to have this happen where you draw 2 of them, and despite playing Fawning Diplomats and so forth, you're going to have 2 dead cards. And in a game where you're bidding low, it's actually really, really tough. It's really tough to have 2 dead cards.
Agreed. Look, I mean, Subversive has been quite unlucky in that he hasn't either claimed the favour through winning conflicts or, he's got 15 cards left in his dynasty. He hasn't seen a Fawning Diplomat. He's got 22 cards left in his dynasty. Yeah, okay.
I just think...
yeah, I agree.
I think if you're bidding high, it helps you in favour as well, right?
Yeah. I think that, and definitely the choice to run Censure is I don't think it's necessarily a great card in decks that don't have strong card draw. So, and that usually means bidding high, or if you're playing a Phoenix, potentially Crab, but say if you're playing Phoenix, you've got your Forgotten Libraries and you've got potentially Spyglasses where you are seeing a lot of cards. So if you're not seeing a lot of cards, I think Censure, you'd probably want it to be something rather like a proactive action rather than something reactive.
Yeah, and with Scorpion, unless you're crushing the conflicts, you need to see that Fawning Diplomat. Otherwise, I mean, the Dragon player is always going to have the favour.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Sumiko yet, but she can make a huge impact. So it's interesting that I felt like the Scorpion player had a better turn last turn, and this turn so far has gone amazingly for the Dragon. Being able to bow Shoju without him contributing at all because of that 1-drop attachment, that is an incredibly powerful situation for the Dragon.
It's not just the 1-drop, it's the fact that he had the covert to stop the Shoju defending in the first place. I think sometimes I've realized about this game, the beauty of sometimes you need to hold the cards until the opportune moment, and it's all about not overcommitting at the wrong time. We're really deep into this game now, and obviously not in standard format, but it's just interesting that he's probably held some of these cards for a few turns, waiting for the right time where Cloud the Mind's not an issue, and the cancels aren't an issue for certain.
That's a really good point. And I think when I first started playing, there were periods, weeks, months into playing, where I felt like, oh, I figured out how I should spend my cards now. And then 2 weeks later, I realized I was wrong about myself then. And I continually learn, about. That's a great point about holding on to cards. Sometimes your impulse is just to play the cancel straight away, but it's not always correct.
More recently, it's about what are you cancelling, Yeah.
I think with what the doc's talking about here is especially in this longer game where province breaks are an absolute premium and every resource you spend is so critical, like thinking about when it's going to happen. So I think choosing to spend the resource when it's going to actually lead to a province break or save a province is kind of what you've got to do. And like this, getting the second province is now, this is a very, very big deal. It puts a lot of pressure on Subversive.
So the Nitan has made a defense. It's a political earth conflict. And it's 4-4 currently. So what do you guys think about defending this? I think he's just trying to protect breaks right now. He doesn't want to trade.
Yeah, I agree.
Can he mount another attack? He probably can.
I mean, if he's got a weapon in hand, you just defend with your Nintendo Master, and then you just save the
This
province.
one's still clouded.
Oh, still clouded, yeah, okay.
Earthring seems really strong right now too. Usually when both players have similar card hand size and it's low, Earthring becomes really, really important.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think if I'm Subversive, is if it looks like I'm not going to break this province, I'm probably just going to pull in the final Kitsuki Investigator there, lose the ring, but then
it's more of a province saving use of Hiroe.
Yeah,
Hiroe is such a versatile card,
and you absolutely cannot afford to lose 2 provinces this turn. Like, it's just untenable.
I think given Smurf has a 5 fate advantage as well, that is a game losing proposition if you do give up the third province.
And then you've got the potential option of swinging in with the Soshi Illusionist. So just to claim that Earth Ring.
So he's gained a fate with the Manicured, and now Subversive's deliberating about whether or not to use that effect.
So are we turn 5 or turn 6 here? Sorry,
this is 5.
5. So at turn 5, that Manicured Garden has gained 5 fate for Smurf, because every single turn that Manicured Garden has been hit at least once.
I think there was one turn where the Scorpion player went and scattered a little bit, but because obviously he hit the 2 fire provinces and the Dragon's currently a Seeker role, he gained fate that way. What interests me is you look at the fate count right now, and I just wonder, would it have been good instead of, because you saw the Scorp player pass, do you play your third Investigator and put the pressure on that you're going to try and break the third one this turn, moving into the next turn?
Yeah, why are you saving that fate? I think it's... Did he pass first? Smurf pass first?
No, Subversive did for the Kachiko.
It's pretty clear that Smurf doesn't want to play the other one, because unless he made the mistake, because he's sitting on a broken province and the other one was in the feast. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I do agree, it's a very powerful effect, but maybe he's just looking forward.
I think he's seen Nintendo Master and he's seen no Sumikos yet.
Yeah, that's true.
So if he can get through next turn and pull out another Nintendo Master and a Sumiko, like that's a ridiculous. That's a very, very strong board.
And there's
I don't know.
And there's no Cloud. Like I said, there's no Cloud the Minds now. So it's just the Dragon player can just play very confidently that unless a Fate Worse Than Death is something the Scorp player is potentially running, and you do see 4 Fate there left, you're feeling pretty confident that you can go in and re-ready your guys for the attack and the defense.
There is, and so there's probably another subtler way of thinking about this is by retaining that Fate, you can look across and you've seen the quite heinous board of Subversive, and you know that, I guess, Shoju's likely to leave this turn, and so is the Illusionist, and you didn't know about Kachiko yet because that just came down, but maybe you're thinking, hey, I'm going to wait until that board's a little weaker, and then I'm going to have a turn where, with that 6 fate, 13, you'll have like 12, 13 fate to dump on the one turn and just have have a very, very strong board advantage for that next turn and just be defensive this turn.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's probably how he's looking at it. I think that he's planning to win this game turn 7 or 8 because next turn he's not going to break 2, even regardless of his flop, but he's just looking to establish a bit of a board state. And having 8 fate sunk into a character who's blanked and having the champ Shoju leave play, like you said, is a good opportunity to take the lead coming into this next turn. So Subversive's passed. So it's up to Smurf if he wants to play a buff to try and win this conflict. So he hasn't used Hiroe's ability. And nope, it's going to be a pass.
I don't like this.
You think he should have used Hero?
I like the well, I mean, unless he's got something. We've seen most of his hand. I don't know. Was there any answers there for?
For another attack, isn't there a Fury left in Subversive's hand?
Yeah, but if he goes for that pilgrimage, the Fury's going to be switched off.
Yeah.
So he's risking getting bonsai'd.
But if you go for the pilgrimage, can the investigator really break a pilgrimage?
I mean, you
So
put
otherwise you
one
just
more
get a
attachment.
ring and...
One more attached. He's honoured, so one more attachment on it.
Mm.
Oh, actually, the box is already used, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And he can play. He has a
He's
Fire
only got a
Madness from
military
hand.
conflict too.
Oh, so he's got 3 military force.
So had Subversive dragged in that investigator, are we thinking that it's unlikely that Smurf has another way to defend a potential second conflict from Subversive with that illusionist?
He could have charge.
Could have, yeah.
What do you charge in though?
Knee 10.
The
The Scorpion player.
Mm.
Subversive. I guess you charge in a courtier. Actually, and there might be a foreshame.
the dragon,
Spending
the
a lot
dragon
of
player.
cards.
The Scorp, unless Subversive just drew a charge, we know where his hand is.
Yeah, so now this is smart. Actually, this is going to mean that.
Well, he's going to pull out the...
You bait the last
Yeah,
Muramotos,
you get the Fury.
But if you go for the pilgrimage, I guess you give him the fate, but then
You don't get the ring though.
yeah, he's going for it. So hopefully this means he's got a pump in his hand.
Only 3 cards left in his hand. It's getting kind of low.
We haven't
So are the
seen
honor
too many
totals.
ancestral weapons or items.
Fiery Madness can come into effect now.
Fiery Madness, well, I guess the Stronghold has been used on the Dragon side, but Fiery Madness is less effective against Dragon because of their box. It effectively turns it from a 2/2 to a 1/1 if the Stronghold gets used on a
Yes,
character with the
good point.
Madness.
It's also going into the late game. If you use your Fiery Madnesses now on a guy that's about to leave play, it's obviously not as strong as if you save it for when they think they've done the math to think they can break, and then they realize that they unfortunately can't.
Sorry,
cannot.
Glenn, is this not the late game yet?
This is past late
you
game.
You spoiled how long this game goes for, and I feel like we're in the mid game right now.
I would say this is early mid game.
Early mid game.
Early mid game for a Jigoku game.
I think half the people that are watching this have just switched off right now. Like, what?
Follow me on Twitter before you go, boys and girls. All right, so we got a conflict. He's defending with the illusionist.
That Saki's really good.
He's contested air. Do you
More?
think
What
there's
was it?
potential for the firing him?
I'm still good.
Yes, but Air did have fate on it, so maybe he just wants to deny the fate, or maybe he realizes he's not going to win the ring regardless because it's pilgrimage, and he's just doing it to get the fate.
That's very true. It's those sort of small things that separate the top players on screen from the weenies like me.
The other thing is that Subversive is going to be first player next turn. He's got a blackmail artist that's showing in the pilgrimage, which isn't going away this turn. If he doesn't take the fate off Ring of Air and goes for something else, then Ring of Air is going to be 2 fate next turn, which Subversive can just claim.
How did Smurf get to 3 honor? There was an assassination played, right?
Oh shit! Yeah, just now, right?
Boom.
There it is.
So he's trying to break.
Illusionist.
You're never playing that assassination unless you're trying to break, right?
This is a change of gears, right? This is a offensive. Yes, I need to end this. Like I'm making my final run. He's making his run on
Oh,
the
there's a
Oh,
charge.
charge.
Yeah.
Oh,
There had to be something, right? Like, you don't pay 3 honor and not have a
No,
plan.
he's locking his S foils in position, and he's making his final run on the Death Star here.
Well, given that he is going to break this pilgrimage, and he's going to win that air ring as a consequence. He's going to be gaining 2 honor, plus he's going to gain 1 from the Kitsuki Investigator leaving play.
What was we saying about the Fiery Madness?
Oh, there it is.
Kaboom.
So Smurf needs to have 1 more pump. If he doesn't have the pump, this is going to be all in vain, which
could
would be
a
a
heartbreak.
disaster.
It'll be a heartbreaker. Stay on target.
I believe the
Stay
score
on
player
target.
does have another Fiery Madness in hand.
He had 2 in hand?
2 Fiery Madness.
Did he?
I don't know. I thought he only
this
had
is
1. I could be wrong there.
Yeah, I thought only 1 too.
If I've got a Fine Katana in hand, it's already hit the table and I'm already celebrating. So it seems like...
You've got 1 card left, though.
Is there a miscalculation here?
Oh my god!
Oh.
The
There's
little man comes in
Tagashi Walker, the sidekick from...
back. It's R2D2. Haruma D2.
Oh, man.
Well, Subversive's still got 5 cards in his hand. Like,
Yeah, it's not
what is
over
it?
yet.
It's like an assassination, I think, is there.
There's 2 censures which haven't
Yeah.
been online. There's a Miramoto's Fury. He drew a card that we don't know.
That was... Okay.
I
And the
thought it was-
Fiery Madness, which was played. I believe there was an assassination.
Yeah, I thought there was an
And
assassination.
Smurf is now completely out of cards. That was his last card in his hand.
Yeah, but if I'm Subversive, there's no way.
Oh, the embarrassment.
We all
love
forgot about that
love
too.
it. Yeah.
The One Glory.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
that is a pretty big sink of cards and honor to not claim that ring and break that promise. That is a...
And the pilgrimage.
I mean, we've all been
cancels
there,
the
right? Where we've
card.
overcommitted for something and not got it, and it's a lot of the time it can be a game loss. But
Interestingly, I think if you do this exact same thing, but you go on the meditations, you do break there because you're on 4, and he has
Yep.
1 less fate.
that is fair. Yeah, he doesn't have the second fate to play the Fury.
No, so he bows. He has to bow the investigator,
Investigator.
and then you charge in the Neaton and play the skirmisher from hand.
You wanted that juicy pilgrimage break. Well, that was very fortunate for Subversive. Having said that, though, the board state is still kind of iffy, and with a 5 fate lead, it's going to be tough for the Scorpion player, although he does have the hand advantage now.
So I just looked at Smurf's honor, and he's up to 4. Must have had an honored guy that just left play.
That is
and,
correct.
And it just struck me that there is such a big difference between 3 and 4 honor. You know?
Yeah.
I think you're sweating bullets at...
Yeah, at 3 honor.
At 3, you're vulnerable to that backhanded compliment
Yeah.
combo.
Which
Although
is
not
so-
in this matchup.
Not in this matchup. It's not very prevalent in Scorpion at the moment, given they can't play it. That's one of the other great design decisions this game's made, is to print cards for your clan that you can't play.
I love that, actually.
It's just genius.
I actually do love it. I wasn't being sarcastic. I think it's
serious? I think it's
yeah, I actually
ridiculous.
really like it
Like
because
it's horrible.
it's a way that the meta will shift, pre-programmed into the design of the game, which I
think
like.
I think it is totally fine when they're neutral cards. Like, I get the idea that some neutral cards you can't play, but like, it's horrible. Like having cards printed for your clan, seeing it come out and go, "Oh,
Although there are going to be alternate roles chosen soon, so that's
Which
gonna...
are only going to be applicable for Worlds at this year anyway.
Yeah, but there's also other role cards coming out. I think they're going to print fewer and fewer Keeper or Seeker. Like that might be only an Imperial Cycle thing, because they're going to have support of the Phoenix and
Yeah, that's a good
presumably
point.
support for every other clan. So I think this Keeper Seeker meta might just be for the first year or 2, and then we'll see what happens.
yeah." So I think those restricted roles we originally thought were kind of really, really naff may actually help define the meta.
Those support cards, like Support of the Phoenix, you can't play any Seeker or any Keeper cards. So you're actually locked out of both. So
No
even though you
talisman.
get like 8 extra influence or whatever it is, what are you going to spend it on? You certainly can't spend it on Consumed by 5 Fires or
I think
whatever else you...
I mean, without seeing what's in that Phoenix box and what those 8 influence are really buying you, I think it's complete jank. Just from the concept of giving up all of those Keeper and Seeker cards.
We've heard it first here.
Yeah,
I wonder if you'll see cards that cost more than 3 influence. Like, will you see a card that costs 5 influence?
God, I hope so.
Imagine that.
Consumed by 6 fires.
What's the power level on that? Anyway, back to the game.
The 6th fight.
Sounds more like consumed by Netrunner, to be honest.
Is any of the other? Because did Netrunner ever have any influence cards over 3?
They had for a while, their way of balancing was to up the influence on certain cards.
It
from certain
went up
cards.
to 5 on a card, didn't
Yeah,
it? for
it's
Netrunner?
5
Yeah.
originally, but then they would be like, if you want to run an extra copy of this card, you need to pay an extra influence.
Ah.
Okay.
Okay, so we missed that whole Dynasty phase, but it was just a lot of dudes. Raitsugu's hit the table. A Prodigy, which is... I'm seeing less and less of that card. And also the Guardsman, which is just a chud. And then we've got the Sinister Sashi and the Black Mail
What's
Artist.
the Prodigy's killer ability?
While it's attacking alone, only one defender can be declared.
The thing is, like, when do you want her to be attacking alone? You can't really make her your Voltron target because she's assassinatable. So I just think that card has kind of fallen away, and for good reason.
Did we see any Miyamoto Prodigy admit defeat style decks? Crane Alliance?
I think you should take that to the Melbourne Kotai.
Melbourne Cutter. You've heard it here first.
I'm hoping there's a Jade Tetsubo in hand for the awesome duel to be had.
Isn't it incredible that a card like Jade Tetsubo, which in my opinion was like pretty unplayable in core, has now started seeing play at the top level for Crab as a one-off?
Was it a core card?
Yeah, it was in
Yeah.
core, and it's just incredible to me that even a slight shift away from Dragon Splash has made these bigger attachments all the more playable as these like ace in the hole sort of one-offs or two-offs. It's pretty cool.
It's very interesting that either side hasn't really seen a lot of their let goes so far this game.
Yeah, we saw one get cancelled, and I'm not sure if the Scorpion players played one at all. It's a little bit unlucky.
Or maybe... Oh, yeah, well, it was none in the hand, so...
So the bid was interesting. It was 2-1. The Scorpion player elected to go to 1. He's really trying to press that honor lead, and Smurf feels comfortable giving up 1 and going down to 3.
I'm not sure comfortable is quite the word I would use.
It's
Desperate, maybe?
Subversive is...
Resigned.
Because Subversive is about to go in, harpoon, and then if he wins, he dishonors the character, and he gets to gain an honor. And if it's the air ring, the dragon player's then on one honor. So then you have to win the fire ring in response.
This board state looks really bad for Scorpion, though, in my opinion. There's a lot of skill on the table, and a Raitsugu.
I'm not sure, because I think at this point you're actually no longer worried about breaking anybody's provinces. In fact, that +3 glory thing coming up on that province might make it, a bit more tantalizing to go and attack.
God, no. I think what's happened here is the sensors are just turned off for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that is
Well,
so grim.
That province that's feast and famine, right?
Yeah.
So you need to break that province in order for that thing to actually take effect. So it's not going to affect you during the conflict.
Yes.
It's now 5 province strength.
So it's a farmable
It's a
province.
farmable province if you're going for honor.
He reckons Manicured Gardens is more farmable, Merlin.
He's wrong. I'm just saying.
He hasn't learned his lesson. He's about to give him his sixth
What has he got?
fate.
Airing.
His sixth
Airing-
fate from that
Yeah,
card.
airing's a good choice here, just to deny the opponents.
Yeah, even if it's not that important for you to win, which in this case it clearly is, denying it for your opponent is often a good reason.
The only trouble being is that you now allow the investigator to do his magic and just remove the card that's relevant to this conflict.
The investigator? Yeah, I suppose. He's got the fate to do it.
Investigator has done a lot of heavy lifting this game.
I think it does heavy lifting in most Dragon games. As we've seen with Policy Debate, the ability to see the opponent's hand and either discard a card or let you play the perfect turn really makes this game... it makes you have to think a bit deeper about how you're going to go in sequencing, but it's just such a powerful effect, and the costing on it's been quite interesting to say the least so far.
It's pretty amazing that when you see like a intimidating heater with 2 ornate fans because he's terrified of getting debated.
Yeah.
You've slipped up, Nate, on this card. Maybe it's a little mistake. We'll see.
It's such a beautiful game. There's just a few cards that I'm really not sure what happened.
But I think what I do like about this game is the cards that we're seeing in play right now. they're all quite cool to watch play out in action. Even just like we've talking about the Jade Tsubo with the duelist, just makes a really wicked combo.
Can't afford to lose the honor. That seems reasonable.
So Subversive has revealed his 3 censures, Cunning Magistrate, and his second policy debate. So yeah, those censures ain't getting played.
3 edges.
It's basically got a hand size of 2.
Yeah, and one of them's about to get gone. Policy debate hits the discard.
Yeah.
So all he's got left is that Cunning Magistrate,
That
and he
does not have
does
the fate
not
to
have
play.
the fate.
He has a hand size of 0 right now. It says 4, but it's 0.
It's actually really, really ugly to be carrying dead cards, and then
Yeah.
every turn you look down at your hand and think, what can I play this turn? How can I navigate these conflicts? And you see these blank, annoying, horrible cards. You start to hate
challenge-
the art.
yeah.
You read who drew it. You read the flavor text. You start to resent the card. You know,
Jesus, man.
it's happened to me before, man.
The problem is as well is it's not like he's just because of the nature of the honor totals at the moment is it just seems like this is one of those things where you can't go after the feast or famine because you want to destroy the feast or famine so your censures can work, but at this point here, like you've just destroyed Kachiko if that happens, so that doesn't seem feasible, right? Like you just have to suck it down until turn 10, right?
Turn 10? What the hell? What turn are we on?
Well, there's 2 more fate to go, right? Or is it turn 9?
Spoilers.
Is it turn...
It's turn
oh my
6,
God.
I believe.
Oh, we're on turn 6, so Kachiko will be around for turn 7 and turn 8, so you want to wait until turn 9, I guess, before you go up. I guess on turn 8 you can go after the feast or famine.
I think, given that Smurf is a clever player, he's staggered his characters so that he's always going to have a juicy person with no fate with the coming few turns. So it's going to be really tough. You don't want to break it, but you want to break it because that Imperial Palace is going to keep hosing you. So it's really hard.
I think the beauty of this turn is that the counter attack either pressures Subversive to defend with his Kachiko for no gain, or to not defend, risk a break, and in response have enough for either the Magistrate or to break himself with the Kachiko.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that what we're seeing in this timeless format is it definitely leads to far more vigorous defending. Like people will much prefer to just make sure a province doesn't break, and I think that what we'll see in a lot of the higher level tournaments is people sometimes just let their provinces break so they can go and get the return province.
Yeah.
Defending also enables you. It opens up more options later on, because when you've got 3 provinces broken, you're very hamstrung with what you can actually do offensively. And so, defending that second or third province can sometimes be super important 2 turns down the track. You know.
Do you think you risk the duel to remove the fate here?
I think so. I mean, you just duel Hiraway, right? He's a big wuss.
Scorp can bid 5.
Hiraway has a very fetching little mask, and he's got some great flowing locks. I think there was a wind machine on when that particular picture was painted. That hair,
He is a very handsome man.
definitely like an 80s glam band. He could have fronted for sure.
Maybe
the
one
lute?
called Merlin and the Magicians.
Yeah, that's what we were missing, actually, was a lute. Yeah. Yeah. Or anyone that could actually play their instrument.
Okay, so if I'm Smurf, I'm definitely going to use Reitsugu. Okay, so he's faked
Oh.
the conflict, and Beishu Kachiko's in.
Is she clouded?
I love it.
She is, but he's sort of going all in here, right?
He's going for the smash. It needs to do a bit of work first.
So he's going to, if he does manage to win, he's going to steal 1. That'll bring him to 2. And he's going to steal 1 with the blackmail artist. That'll bring him down to 1. Are you guys seeing a way that he gets another honor loss here?
No, like I said, the response is then to you just got to go fire, and
Yeah.
on one of you guys that's going to leave play.
You could play 2 assassinates. Subversive could play 2 assassinates, go down to 2, use his stronghold.
You can only play 1 assassinate around though,
Ah,
as per card
That's
text.
RTFC Merlin, jeez.
This fucking Sake, I swear to God.
All right, I'm pretty sure Owen's not going to listen to watch this. But if you do, Owen, much respect, man. I'm pretty sure he got knocked out of the round 3 at Worlds by having 2 assassinates in one turn played on him. Didn't catch it.
That's gutting.
That's terrible, right?
That is the worst news story I've heard in weeks, and I've been watching all the stuff about all the atrocities being committed overseas. So that's terrible. So I think these guys are kind of feeling that the game is coming to a crescendo soon, and they're really taking their time with these decisions, which makes a lot of sense. Sometimes you can rush through those early turns because it's a bit of just a bit of foreplay before you really get to the guts of the game, and this is really the point where the game can turn on one mistake.
The beauty of that duel just there was that I guess the Yogo Hiroe had to bid 1 because he doesn't want to give honor back to Smurf.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I really favour the Scorpion position at the moment.
I actually agree with Merlin's position of sometimes, but no, I'm serious, and because what he's really what I think you're talking about there is the idea that, well, it's very, very difficult to get the Dishonor victory anyway, so just get some goddamn cards. Get some cards in your hand where you can actually win some conflicts. I think this game looks like it's going to be difficult to win through Dishonor. Just smash some provinces. I could be wrong, but
you've gone all in, hoping that you can't break with what he's got left.
Yeah, I know.
So has he used? Did Sinister Soshi get used in that conflict? I didn't quite see.
Sinister Soshi didn't, but I think that was fine anyway because you save Soshi because otherwise the box just gets used.
Yeah, that's right. So he's taken him down to 1 honor, which is never a good position to be in.
Yeah.
Do you think you go all 3 onto Meditations on the Tower and then with water and then you untap your Investigator and go onto box?
With fire? That seems reasonable.
Well, we know what's in Subversive's hand. He's got a Magistrate, which he can't play, and 3 Censures. So
yeah, I think
there are no surprises here. I think that's reasonable. So you win 2 conflicts.
You go on to Pilgrimage. You wouldn't go to the Meds.
You don't need to send everyone, right? You just need to send exactly 4 worth of force.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the Sinister Soshi can...
Exactly 6 worth of force.
Yeah, 6. You have to send all 3.
Or, potentially, you could chuck... If you've got a attachment... I don't know what's in... Do we know what's in Smurf's hand?
We do not.
If he happens to have a Fine Katana or equivalent, he could then just use box on the Knit Master. And the Knit Master could add maybe one other guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Could crawl their way up there.
He definitely breaks the 3rd one here and then pressures... Yeah, I don't know. I don't think 2 cards... I don't know if 2 cards is enough pumps. But if you go military, break your 3rd, then you go political on the box. See what happens.
So, let's see what we're saying. Shows the pass. He's thinking... Oh, he's sending all 3.
He's just deciding on the ring. He's gone for Earth. So, I don't know about the Earth. I mean, I guess you've only got 2 cards in your own hand. But, this is kind of odd because you know that all of his cards are dead. So the benefit of discarding a card at random from your opponent's hand does not apply in this case. It's kind of interesting.
So I wonder if this is an effect of the game going for so long. We're well after midnight here, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
I think at this stage here, it's just after 1. It's about 1:15.
Is he planning on just going for the win next turn given his first player? And just saying, I don't need to win the second conflict this turn. I'll just commit everyone, make sure I break. Yeah, I don't know. You know what's in his hand, so why do you need to overcommit? You guys are right.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't need to.
See, I don't. I think this was a midnight, or this is a 1:30 a.m. miscue.
Well, actually, he probably doesn't have enough to break the stronghold, does he?
No, but you want to peek at it, right?
No, I don't. I don't know that you do.
Well, you peek at it and you get a ring.
Yeah, you can get a ring. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Getting a ring is always handy.
You get the fire.
You give yourself an extra honor buffer, maybe.
Yeah, and one honor extra on is pretty good.
Shock Horror Essentia was one of the cards discarded.
Unbelievable.
At least he got some use, It protected that cunning magistrate expertly from that ring of earth.
Smurf could have a let go on the Cloud the Mind as well.
Now, I mean, if we look back at this game, this has been an absolutely epic, amazing game. Like there's been many, many difficult decisions made. Like I know we're laughing and kind of joking at how long it's been going for, but it's extremely hard fought, and it is a testament to not only Smurf and Subversive, two players. I think Smurf's actually undefeated at this point. He's come all the way through the Swiss rounds, the 34 players. I think was it 7 rounds of Swiss or 6 rounds? Was it 6 rounds or 7 rounds of Swiss, whatever it was. And the quarterfinals and semifinals, and Subversive's had a similar meteoric rise. I think he dropped 1 game in Swiss, and also not only to the players but also to the viewers who have managed to hang on for the whatever we're at the moment.
Yeah, you guys deserve a pat on the back because at least we have the company of our friends and sake flowing. You guys are probably in your nerd dungeons watching this at 3 a.m. yourselves, so respect to you guys.
Avoiding your husband or wifely duties.
Yeah, no, this is a good flip for the dragon to push in with, because with that 5 coster there, you don't bow, you have a defense, so you can just go for air, or potentially if you need more fate, which you probably don't, you go for the fire.
So Smurf is first player now.
And we finally see a swordsmith.
Is that the first swordsmith?
That is the first swordsmith.
Oh, wow.
Viewers and listeners, that is the very first.
And Sumiko.
And
Of
the
course,
very first
of course,
Sumiko.
Sumiko. That Yunako doesn't seem to be terribly effective at this point, does it?
No, but the Sinister Soshi that's
Yeah, that could
right
be
by
good.
it seems quite good.
So what are we expecting to see here on the stronghold here?
This is almost certainly an entrenched position, I would think, given
Yeah, I think
it's either a water or an earth conflict, earth province, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the best for Scorpion.
Yeah, and I think so. Do you hedge your bets by just like... I mean, Sumiko, I guess, is a beast, right, and can do 2 conflicts anyway. So if it happens to be Rally, so be it. But it's very rare that you would see Rally.
I think at this point, I would probably all in on a military conflict and go for like air. So you just, if you don't manage to break,
Yeah.
you at least. Keep
Is there
yourself
there's a lot of attachments going on there. Does the investigator have a tattooed wanderer?
He does, which is very, very
And
powerful.
there's no favourable ground. So I guess it would be Yanako or Kachiko. It's military.
I'd go for military and covert
Yunako.
Yunako, yeah.
Yanako can just screw with things a bit too much.
He's only going to be able to bid 1 though, so he's not going to be refilling his hand too much. Although he does have that storehouse in his manicured garden. That trusty manicured garden has produced some goods for him this game.
Do you ever? I think 1's the right way. I think 1 is the best bid for Subversive. I mean, it's the only bid for Smurf. But do you ever consider at this stage of your Smurf? Do you consider maybe bidding a little bit extra, like maybe 2, so you can try and counter?
I think if you're running,
No.
if you're running, I
Smurf-
Can Swim, you might.
No, I don't think so. Even then, not in this position, because all Subversive has to do is hang on, right? He just needs to barely
Got
win
2
that
Soshis.
fight, and then he can do the 1 honor damage on the return. I think if he can hang on.
Have we seen any Way of the Scorpions? I think we've only seen 1 right at the very first turn.
Yeah.
It's it hasn't
you're
been. It's
right.
been a bit of a weird draw for the Scorpion. Seeing
Yeah.
3 clouds early, but none of the way ofs.
Way of the Scorpion is fine. I mean, it's probably good against Sumiko or Rotsugu, but it doesn't cause its honor loss until the end of the turn, which means you have to survive 2 attacks, which is maybe a bit much at this point.
And if Smurf manages to claim Air Ring, like you're not winning this turn, right? If you're the Scorpion player, you're not going to make him lose 3 and defend.
Yeah. Scorpion should really splash away the Phoenix.
Clearly.
If only.
Turn 7.
All right. Conflict phase, turn 7, boys.
So now that we're into the
Get hyped.
mid to late game, things have gotten a little wonky here. But there is a lot of dudes on the board. So this is going to be an interesting conflict. There's going to be a lot of actions.
What's
And,
the dude count at the moment? Is there 10 dudes?
That is 10 dudes, and one of the dudes turns into another dude. So that's pretty cool.
So it's kind of 10, but there's an inferred 11th dude.
Yeah, although Rate Suga's going to kill a dude.
And if we're fair, the Scorpion side is actually more full of dudettes.
Dudettes, it actually is. The Scorpion have a lot of great dudettes.
Indeed.
Well, there's a blackmail artist as a dude, but I think and Unico, I believe.
Unico is definitely a woman. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that.
Okay, we're seeing a diverse cast here, I think, is what we're saying.
She was in one of the stories, I think. So I think confirmed.
Definitely.
She's a masculine woman, I would say.
I have been known to have difficulties identifying gender in card games.
She's a very good character, though, and my favorite charge target in Scorpion.
I thought Hataro was a dude for ages.
Actually,
Well, most of the Crane dudes do have flowing long hair, don't they?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, wasn't Hataro a dude in the original?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hataro?
Hitori.
Hattori. Because Hattori and Taturi were, bros, right?
yeah, they were
Yeah.
childhood friends,
Yeah.
I think,
They used to chill out.
and then mortal enemies as
They
adults.
still are, sort of.
Yeah.
Tutori's in the friend
So
zone.
we're seeing now Smurfer said he just wants to go to Ponderock, have a bit of a think, just chill out for a little bit.
I think this
He's probably
is
stood
reasonable.
up from the table. He's walking around in a circle.
Yeah, he's probably stretching, right? Because at the moment, I reckon if you stood up too quickly, probably all the blood would, go to your head and you'd be a little bit woozy.
Has he got a little blackboard out? And he's doing some sums, and he's he's doing the whole Rain Man thing.
It's not a bit of paper. It's actually a blackboard with a bit. He's got a bit of chalk.
And it's got all these little strings and pins, and it's got a map of rock again.
Listen, winning this is very important, man. This is a premier Australian tournament, and
It is the premier
glory,
Australian
glory is
tournament.
on the line here.
Hey, Toridori, as the official organizer of the inaugural Australian Discord Cup, is it a cup? What are we playing for here? What's the prize? What's on the line?
There are prizes. I'm still waiting for them to come in, but yeah, there are prizes. There's no cup, although I did think I called it a cup a couple times.
So wait, there's a question though, right? So when you win a Kote, or when you're top of clan in a Kote or a Grand Kote or whatever, I was going to say AEG, then I was going to say Wizards. I realised it's FFG, right? FFG.
We were wrong, dude.
You
Twice.
get a couple of sakes in. But you get to this cool title. You're the Hatamoto of the clan. So when you win a timeless digital online Australian only tournament, what amazing title will one of these lucky contestants on our game show win? What will they become known as? That's what I want to know. That's the real prize here.
You've put me on the spot. Give me a minute to think about that.
All right, we'll come back to you shortly.
Yeah. So he's really going to the think tank. This is some deep thinking.
I think he's doing
He's
the math,
phone.
right?
He's doing like a phone a friend. Ask the audience.
So if you're a subversive in this spot where your opponent's just having a think, if you don't smoke, if you don't have any other particular vices, are you alt tabbing and playing a bit of Hearthstone? What's your play here? What's the?
I think I play a Haruma Skirmisher.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah, that's my.
Okay, so that's two covert characters, and that is a devastating thing to see.
changes the math quite significantly.
Yeah, that's no fun for.
so now subversive is like I'm just gonna have a bit of a think.
If I'm subversive, I'm mad that he didn't play that before he declared he was having a think.
I did actually see in the sister tournament, the World Discord tournament. I did see in a game yesterday. It was a top 32 game. I can't remember the opponents there, but there was a Scorpion player who was constantly every turn was just saying, "Hey, hurry up" to the opponent, and then had the gall at the last battle to say to his when his opponent said, "Hurry up." It's great. He's just thinking. Anyway.
I have come full circle. At first, I would prefer online games to have limitless time, but the more I play, the more I see these sort of almost bastardized game states. And I understand that, in a pure sense, you want to play out to the end of time if you can for a game. But I would much rather see a more close simulation of what a real tournament would be like. I think there's more value in it, and that's why I think I try and time myself on Jigoku as well.
I agree, but that being said, I think this does create for like what we're seeing here is this is an epic battle we're about to see, and this has been an epic struggle the whole way through between two top ranked opponents, struggling. There's a couple of loose plays early on in the piece with Tagashi Diesel, but that aside, it's been a very well thought out, very layered play style for both of them. Decisions were being made to not only about the immediate conflict, but what were the greater consequences across the match by making those decisions. So it's been an amazing game to watch.
It has been a great game, despite mistakes by both players. It has been a great contest. So we're seeing an air military conflict, which is no surprises there from me. He clearly doesn't need the extra fate from the other rings, and getting that air ring gives him a little bit of a buffer. And he's also going to have Sumiko potentially ready. If this conflict doesn't get the job done, she can hit again.
Looks like Smurf actually thought it would be rally.
I have no idea why.
Is there any consideration to declare this as a political conflict? Without knowing what's in the hand, do you think there's more pump that way?
Well, I think potentially. I don't know. I guess so.
I think that given that you're playing against Scorpion, they do more in political conflicts. Your priority is just to win the ring, right? Like
you don't get your second. You knew it was going to be a military conflict when you put the skirmisher out, right? Because why do it? If
it's double covert, yeah. Sorry, small things. Important. So I did do the math before, and because Dragon gets to pump just by bowing the stronghold, they pump up by 2. 2 Sinister Soshis pumps down by 2, or by 4. So the difference is -2.
So looking at 8-2, which is not enough to take this province.
And we've only seen one Forged Edict. Was it been 1 or 2? I forget. But he's definitely got at least 1 left.
Yeah.
So you're going to be looking to cancel that Bonsai.
Bonsai is the key card here.
Yeah,
or
so
Charge. Charge would also do it.
But that's 1. So Smurf has 5 cards, and Subversive only drew 1 new card.
I think that was a premature Soshi. I think you only use a Soshi when he's breaking.
You don't really want him to win the ring. I
You're
don't know if you have a lot of choice here, but
you're trying to prevent Reitsuga from killing someone straight away, right? You're trying to prevent it from dueling the actress.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Sorry. You guys are both smarter than me, and I get it.
Because he has to bid 1. So, also, with Bonsai, he can only use it once. He can't kick it, because he's only got the 1 honor.
Ooh, look at this. A policy debate.
So that's the 3rd policy debate for the Dragon player, I
he
believe.
does have an assassination.
He drew. He
must have just drew it. Yeah, you're right.
Actually, I think he drew. I think he drew another censure.
Because he couldn't have.
No, because he had 3.
Assassination was the card he drew.
3 in hand. Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a mistake, right? To not play the assassination.
Well, I think the idea.
You kind of have to protect the actress. If the actress goes down to Reitsuga, you're kind of hosed.
Screwed,
yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. Who would you kill? I guess you kill the swordsmith.
For what it's worth.
Maybe he feels like he's not going to be able to get to the 12 required to break.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm looking at here is it feels like it's going to be difficult to find that additional force. We've got 2 to actually break, because you need a lot of force here.
Well, he needs another 8 because the Scorpion player has got another Sinister Soshi. So he needs to increase his total by 8 skill, I believe. Seems unlikely, right?
And the actress can bring out the Doom Shigenja.
Exactly right. And so maybe he's now got to start looking forward to the next conflict.
Yeah. I mean, you've still got Sumiko on board for the next conflict, but and Sumiko probably has a better shot of getting the political force, right? Although I guess Kachiko would be able to defend.
Okay, so he wins the conflict. He's going to get the air ring, which is going to bring him up to 3 honor.
Yep.
I kind of feel like 2 attacks with a ring of fire on the right target would take away 3 honor from Smurf.
This is interesting.
He's all in, right?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Hey, Reitsuga's going to duel now because he's back to 3 skill. So he's going to kill that.
Well, he's lost 4. Where's he got?
He's lost 4 and he's got 2 ancestral die shows.
He counted with 2 ancestral die.
Yeah, okay, got it.
I think he kills the actress.
Well, I think you have to when you attach the
not if the Scorp. It's subversive's term. So if he sacks the
Sacks the
Sacks the
actress.
actress now.
actress now, yeah.
Kaboom.
There she comes.
And that was a smart move.
So what's Retsugu at 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reitsugu's a 3,
Yeah.
personally, yeah.
He's back to normal. And we know that Subversive's got no useful cards left in his hand.
How do you guys feel about defending with this blackmail artist? Because I think winning political with him is part of your victory condition, right? You accept you're going to lose the conflict, but hopefully defend and then use it.
I didn't like it.
Well, I think that. Well, actually, if he doesn't defend with it, he might just lose the conflict.
Yeah. Are
Like,
you
just
worried
straight
about
up
like
lose
a
the
route
conflict.
or something, like a surprise route coming in and sending home
Retsugu's-
your one guy?
Retsugu's going to wreck him there, right?
If that was no, he's just going to lose a fate off of it. But
Oh,
if
yeah,
there was a
yeah.
route in play, it's going to wreck him no matter what. I think that it's really fine. It's a fine line here, right? 12-4. If that character wasn't
Yeah.
there, he just risks losing the game right
yeah,
here.
so he was
Whereas-
hedging his bets a bit more.
Yeah, whereas the alternative, like this line of play, actually allows you to attack in with Bayushi Kachiko on a political conflict and the Yunako on a military conflict. I guess unopposed, because only that big champion thing is going to be standing. Yeah, I think it's a better line of play.
So do you go for the Ring of Water, ready the blackmail artist, and then use him for a political conflict second?
I think
maybe.
I think if you
Yeah,
go
something
for
like that.
either of the rings with 2 fate on it, you can then play your Magistrate from hand as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah, there we go.
The Magistrate really hasn't done anything this game. He hasn't hit the board, but there haven't been opportunities where he'd make a big impact. It's been quite interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Probably the only place would have been that shameful display, and that was
long
broken
time ago.
right at the start.
That was in the mid to early game, about 7 or 8 turns ago.
The late to mid game,
Late to
the,
mid
the
game.
late to early game.
The mid-late early game.
Right.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, so the castle has been used. So Reitsugu's back up to a 5, I believe, right? He's a 7 -4 +2.
Do you risk the duel on the Doom Shigenja then?
Well, you can't, right?
I think you can.
Oh, no, of course you can.
Yeah.
Because you can. Because you're going to bid 1. You have to bid 1.
But then you
Yeah.
have to have some other force pump in your hand to be able to even threaten.
But if he bids
Yeah, he'll kill it.
1 and Subversive doesn't, he gets more honor so that
Yeah,
he doesn't lose this
so
turn.
I think the duel's important.
I agree.
And again, I think it comes back to just the discussions about holding cards until you need them. Having a Cloud the Mind right now, can change a lot of, it can stop that break, or you can play it on the
Sumiko.
5 coster so that
Yeah.
you've kind of punished them for overcommitting. Nothing to commentate against the players here; they played exceptionally well. It's more just about the game in general and how.
The question really is, I mean, you can't be at this stage of the game and go, oh, I shouldn't have played that thing like
No,
a
definitely
bunch of
not,
turns
yeah.
ago. So the question is, would they even be in this position if they hadn't have played
That's
the
very true.
Cloud the Mind in that early game?
Yeah, I guess it's like most card games.
mid to
You
early
play to your outs, and
Yeah.
I think you just have to come up with heuristics for yourself for a particular matchup. Like, I'm playing Scorpion against Dragon. I'm going to save Cloud the Minds for Knee 10 Masters and
Yeah.
Investigators. And then as soon as those characters hit the board, you kind of use that heuristic and you just play the card.
Yeah.
And you kind of, because you can overanalyze these situations, and in a 60-minute
In a
limit.
timed game, that's
Yeah.
really all you have to
so
do.
we see the
yeah.
bid here for the
Smurf immediately chose 1.
Well, he has to, so that's no surprises.
And Scorpion basically has to give honor the dragon. What's the maths? If the
if
Duelist goes away, is that enough to break?
if the Doom leaves, he wins the game.
okay, so he
No, he's still on 12. So, and there's a blackmail artist with 1 skill. So he'll still be 1 away from breaking.
Is the Scorp box is only +1? Yeah.
Oh,
so,
you're right, of course.
+1. Yeah.
So
He has to give him honor.
it's whether or not Smurf bid 1 or 2.
yeah, Smurf could be really dangerous here in bid 2.
So it's come down. I just think this is a really interesting. This is why dueling's actually really interesting, as opposed to policy debate.
occasionally duels can be really interesting. Yeah, when the skill gap is quite narrow and there's an honor threat
And
involved,
there's a lot on the line.
it's a very fascinating part about the game. I think it's just going to be 1-1.
You know, this
But he
is
loses-
even
but he
though
loses the
Oh,
game.
sorry. I think, like you said, Subversive has to bid high, like
Yeah.
3.
But if he does and Smurf bid high, that's what I'm saying. That's why I just think the bid's really interesting here.
So there's like if
there's no way Smurf bid high.
Smurf can't bid anything other than 1.
Well, no, what we're saying is there could be some third level thinking here. If Smurf figures that Subversive figures that he can only ever bid 1, then Doom Shigenja, if you're a Subversive player and you're bidding just enough to win the duel, then maybe he bids 2.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't think that's the case. I don't
There's
think
no-
you get to.
okay.
I don't think you get to this level of play and sort of put it all
Hedge
on the
your
line
bets,
like
yeah.
that. Because if Smurf bid anything other than 1,
Hold on a second. If Subversive had bid 4, wouldn't have. Oh no, he had 1. Sorry, Ratsugu had a fade on him. Okay,
Yep.
sorry. Yeah. Well, if Ratsugu had no fade on him, I
So Smurf has a bonsai. So unless he's got a cancel here, this is
This
going to be
is- Yeah.
all over it.
Well, there you go.
Rosy.
So the bonsai from hand makes it.
What? Okay, yeah, he's got the honor to do it again. I was like, oh god.
Yeah, that's.
oh, brilliant,
I think, and I think that highlights sequencing. Yeah, like see, I didn't know it's hard to know when you don't know what the hand is. But yeah, wow,
What an amazing
what an
end to the
amazing
game.
finish there.
Will we see the GG?
So
That
for
is
me,
phenomenal.
one of the takeaways of this game was that Kachiko was an 8 fate
Oh.
sinkhole,
Yeah.
and that a fate worse than death was sorely missed from this Scorpion presentation.
No,
What do you
I
guys think?
I think both players played exceptionally well, and I think even though we're talking about how the game went quite long, to get to this level of play and to play 7 grueling turns this exceptionally well is just a testament to how well both players are.
Yeah, it was a great contest.
when you go over this, you need to put in like music at this point, right? Like we need to get some power ballads going on right here.
Some
Smurf
final countdown.
winning,
I'll make a note
winning
of that.
the Discord League.
All right. Okay, and so any final thoughts from our tournament organizer, and what is the title that Smurf has now won? Let's count it down. Smurf is the 2018 Australian Discord champion.
I don't know, man. I didn't come up with anything. What I will say is that it was a pleasure to run the event, and everyone was
Goshu.
reasonably well behaved.
The Goshu champion. We're drinking Goshu sake.
What about what about the Wandering Bogan? What do you think of that one?
I like the Wandering Bogan. That's cool.
All right, well,
Congratulations to Smurf. Incredibly well played. Didn't drop a single match. And, it was a great event. And I hope everyone enjoyed it. And there'll be more coming down the pipeline, I'm sure.
well, yeah, that was absolutely amazing. And commiserations to Subversive.
Yeah, and thanks to all the players that played in the Discord tournament. It was a lot of fun for the games that I got to play, and it's been great to see the top players here.
And we'll look forward to some. You can all look forward to some new Australian Discord tournaments coming out soon.
Alrighty. Sweet. So that was 2 hours.